Hello, everybody. Cheers. Checking out if everything's all right. There'll be a full screen here. Yeah, that's okay. So, hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. And hope everybody's all right. Did a few little tweaks to make sure. Got my China Radio International jacket to make it more shortwave. We won't say anything, Eric. Shh. We don't know. So hey everybody, welcome aboard, and this is the Shortwave Show. We are Friday, 2000 hours UTC, Friday, August the 31st. I just can't believe tomorrow's September. Tomorrow's September. I don't know what happened this year actually. I have the impression that Christmas was yesterday, then my birthday, then now we're September, and you know I've already seen some little things talking about Christmas. It's like, whoa. Give it time. So hey everybody, nice to have you on board. Always cool to be here. So this is a shortwave radio show. We talk about radio, shortwave radio every Fridays, 2000 hours universal time. And we're here to entertain, to have fun, and just, have a great gang of people enjoy everything about radio. And hope that everybody is fine. We are here every Fridays, 2000 hours UTC. And of course, my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And of course, no length of time. Sometimes somebody asks me, how long your shows last? Anything can happen. The longest show we've had was 5 hours and 30 minutes. Now, that's a hard one to beat, I gotta say. But, we try to bring it to a 3 hour. I try to kind of do a 3 hour if possible. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and it doesn't really have a time limit, so technically it could be over after 2 hours. It could be over after 5 hours. We don't know what can happen. And it all depends on, there's the interaction with the people. There's the what's happening on the radio bands, if there's something unusual. Of course, that helps make the show longer. There's a great chat room with amazing people that are just great and that are here to, just enjoy radio like all of us. It's a solitary hobby. We say it all the time. But now we're a bunch of guys that love the same thing and that can actually be together via the magical internet, medium. That new thing that's supposed to replace shortwave, but it's not. It's just a compliment. For me, YouTube, internet is just making the hobby even more fun because now we have more choices of information about everything. So, of course, I've got my Fin du Monde beer, which is my usual beer that I have. It's really cold right now, so it's actually very good. I'm just going to do one thing here. I will actually shut down the air conditioning so that we actually don't have that noise in the background. Oh, my, so much quieter now. So, hey, everybody, welcome aboard. We have Elton Byington, nice to have you here. Richard Cook in the UK, nice to have you on board. Elton is K3JWA in Baltimore. Dark Noise NL in the Netherlands, nice to have you on board. Max Edstrong, hey, nice to have you here. William Helms, nice to have you here. From Florida, always nice to have the great people. Tio, nice to have you on board. Matambale, nice to have you on board. Richard Cook was receiving Thailand on 9920. What do we have? Calvin, nice to have you on board. Always cool to have you here. Richard Cook's getting a fire drink on 9745. William, nice to have you here. So, wow. A lot of winds down there. We had some really, really heavy thunderstorms actually here. The day before yesterday, what was it, Wednesday? Wednesday we had a line of thunderstorms that was really, really strong. They actually downed many trees, and we had over 100. I was not part of it, but there was over 130,000 homes without electricity. It was really, really something. JS Westwood, nice to have you here. Bullfrog 89, KD2CXU, nice to have you on board from Albany, New York. Pretty cool to see all of you here. First week of school has gone pretty well. Yeah, we're already there, eh? School time. School time and back to work. For a lot of people, it's also the back to work time. Summer vacation is over. Some are okay with that. Some just want to cry. All depends on many things, including your work. MDK2, nice to have you on board from KE0SFC and WA0080SWL. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else do we have? What else do we have? Joshua Gosnell, nice to have you on board. W4GOG. And hey, let's do a little. Let's see here. Max Edstron. Let me just. Whoa. Okay, I don't know what I just did. Sorry. Okay. So let's do a little something here. I will give Max Edstron moderator status. Here we go. Add moderator. And we will add Joshua Gosnell moderator. Here we go. You guys have been promoted. 2 new moderators. Woohoo! How about that? What else do we have? A Griffin, nice to have you here. Tuto Channel, nice to have you on board from Hungary. Pretty cool to see you here. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you on board. Dan Walsh, hey, nice to have you from New York City. Dave Freeman, nice to have you on board from New York. Dr. Sissop, nice to have you here. WWV is weak lately. Yeah, I actually didn't take the time to fix the clock here, so it probably is a few seconds. But I was on 14:230 because I got a few, there were a few weak slow scan TV signals a couple of minutes ago. So, nice to have you here. Yeah, China Radio International vest. A gift from, wow, I think I'd say about 15 years ago. I got this, I was living here, and I've been here for more than 18 years now. So, I got this about 15 years ago. There was a time when China Radio International really became dominant on shortwave. They wanted to have official monitors, and if you'd send them reports every day, they would give you gifts of all sorts. I got tons of gifts from that, being reporting to China Radio International all the time. I've got these little, hand-painted glass bottles that are painted from the inside. I got the vest. I got probably 200 Cubasols. I had a scarf. I had I had tons of things. I had a tennis kit with everything needed, including the headband and all of that, the wristbands. I had many things, and there's some of it here. Some of it I don't have anymore because there's somebody in my family that just goes crazy with everything that's Chinese. And when he one day came over and said, "Wow, you got Chinese stuff?" and I said, "Yeah, and it's from China Radio International, comes direct from China." He looked at it and said, "Oh, this is so cool, this is so cool." So because of this limited space, it's not because I really want it, but at some point I'm like, well, you know what I'm going to do? They're going to stay in the box somewhere, and So some of it I gave to that person that I'm sure has found a beautiful place for it because he loves the Chinese stuff. He's going crazy. He goes to the Chinese downtown, the Chinese spot here all the time to check out all sorts of stuff. So, anyways, and yeah, the CRI Halloween ghost. Just missing the rest of the costume. Okay, Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here from Louisiana. Yeah, Monday is Labor Day here in Canada also. Pirate weekend. A lot of pirates will be there this weekend on the band, so check that out for sure. Richard says German weather vomit on 5905. Okay. Gordon Treadwell, VE6 GPT, nice to have you here. Any predictions on the reverse polarity activity still happening? So, the reverse polarity of the sun is due to the fact that we have our first sunspot from the next solar cycle. One of the things that's very important to understand is that it kind of tells us we're in solar minimum. First of all, we've probably reached solar minimum pretty much. The last time there were so few sunspots, I was reading on spaceweather.com, last time there were so few sunspots on the sun dates back to 2009. So it's almost 10 years ago. That means we're pretty much in the solar minimum times. Now, how fast will the next sunspot and the next solar cycle rise? It's anybody's guess. We could stay like this for a couple of years and still be at the minimum in 2 years. It can rise faster than we think. There's a lot of unknowns in the solar cycles. So, but one thing for sure, the fact that there was a reverse polarity sunspot is a good thing, because every solar cycle, for those that don't know, the sunspots reverse their polarities for each cycle. When we start seeing reverse polarity sunspots, that means the next cycle is already starting slowly to creep in. There's this moment where the old cycle and the new cycle will mix together with regular sunspots and reverse polarity sunspots. But as time will go by, we'll have more reverse polarity sunspots, which will typically become the norm, and the old sunspots will slowly disappear. So at least it's a good thing. We know that we're getting into that cycle, that solar cycle. So yep, they do have Halloween stuff in the store, Eric. I did see that. I went to a grocery store last week, and they had all the Halloween candy, the boxes and everything. It was like, wow, okay. And anyways, it's special. But this year I will not be available on Halloween night for a special show, because on Halloween night, October 31st, I will be downtown because I have tickets for Supertramp. So I will be seeing Supertramp on October 31st. I was wondering maybe I was thinking maybe I could do the Halloween show the day before, October the 30th. Maybe we could do something like that if you guys wish to do one. Because on Halloween night, I will not be there. But, several days before and after is often a good time for pirates also. So if you guys want a Halloween show, I'll do it probably on October the 30th instead of the 31st. Because I'll be watching Supertramp, which I've never seen in concert. And I'm a big fan of Supertramp. Actually, it's Roger Hodgson that does Supertramp, and it's like Supertramp anyways. Abel Frog 89 went back to watch the live show that went bad at the end. You were responding to a comment about DTV. Don't blame me for the malfunction. Yeah, you know what? I changed something today, because one of the things I had forgotten, because I came back. I'm back with my Logitech C920 webcam right now. Last time was the same thing. And what I forgot is that I was using the Wi-Fi on the laptop. And I know that Wi-Fi for streaming HD video is not the best idea. And I just didn't think about it. Today, I actually plugged in directly with the Ethernet cable. So hopefully it's going to be better with that. We haven't had any streaming problems in such a long time. It was like surprising to see that we're actually having a problem, a streaming problem suddenly. It's just funny. Dex Forrest says Christmas and Halloween shows are the best. Yeah, I usually get more drunk and am quite. I need a new. I need a new Santa costume for this year. I really need a really new Santa costume. I'll need to go and get something like that, and get a good beard that I don't have to mess with every 30 seconds. J.S. Westwood says, I'm interested in learning to be a ham radio operator. That is cool. That is cool. David Arden, KJ4CMY. Nice to have you here. Dr. Sisap CB Skip Poor on the free band, 27550 lower side. Cool. Thank you to the channel. Vancouver Island DXer, nice to have you here. Early afternoon, sun is shining on this vertical wire antenna. Brian Chappell, nice to have Brian. VE7AOL, VE7011 SWL. Nice to have you here. Joshua Gosnell says 9420 is going to be very strong in Western South Carolina with SDR play. So that's Greece. Pretty cool. Michael Plays, nice to have you here. And you was totally right. The solar TV is just amazing. I actually was able to receive Radio Romania International for the first time from my house. Cool. Cool. That is nice. And with the K-index really low, it shouldn't be too bad this weekend, actually. Sean Fahey, nice to have you here. Always cool to see everybody here. Oh, well. What else do we have? What else do we have? Some lightning at the MDK2 shack. So he's got his antennas disconnected just for the case. So I'm coming down, guys. I'm a little far behind here. So Dr. Sisap. Yeah, last barbecues of the season. Actually, though, here in Montreal, we are supposed to have really warm weather again next week. It's like summer doesn't want to go away this year. It's been hot and it stays hot. So pretty cool. Revelda65, nice to have you here. Dave Todd, nice to have you on board. Most 11-meter operators are upper sideband XM US. Yeah, well, it depends. It depends on the operators, actually. Richard Cook's got Vatican Radio on 9705. Let's try that out just for the fun of it. 9705. Anything here? Nothing much. I do a very weak signal there. But nothing much. And I have Greece weak, but there on 9420. So kind of interesting. La Postista, nice to have you here. Almost missed the show. Writing summary of my ham radio license test. Cool. Congratulations on that. It's really nice. Nicola Hughes, nice to have you here from Buckinghamshire, UK. Nice to have you here. No problem, Joshua. Happy to be there, Max. That's strong. Congratulations to the new moderators. The more moderators there is, the more it's easy to throw people that are just annoying out in a record amount of time. Charles Williams, nice to have you. Williams, nice to have you here. Yes, I did see, by the way, the postings of Jordan in Northern Ireland that got some BBC airtime, and he was even in the newspaper for listening into North Korea and getting packages. It's kind of funny and interesting. Hey, Mr. G, nice to have you here. 2E0GCY, nice to have you here. Cyberflyer1, nice to have you on board from the UK. J.S. Westwood is in Texas. Pretty cool. 555-1212. I gotta say, every time I see your Dr. Sisap, all I can think of is the BBS world of the 80s and 90s that I was part of, and it was so cool. Joshua Gosnell says 31-meter band is wide open into Western South Carolina. Lots of strong stations. Donald Osmer, nice to have you here. W8SWL in Michigan. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, you got Bermuda on AM last night. Wow. I haven't heard. There's a Bermuda, I think that's on 5. Or Bahamas. I think it's Bermuda that's on like 5:35 AM. And I remember hearing that a few times. Indicate too. You CRI tennis, bro. Nah, not really. Although with my amazing reflex of saving my ICOM ICR20 the other day, I might have a minimum. Rock Ristorante, nice to have you on board from a cold and rainy Stockholm. SM0SBT, nice to have you on board, my friend. Daxpar 74, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Two Hands on the Radio, hello there, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Did you? So, yep, I saw the news item about Jordan Abram, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. Max says, strong love your solar weather reports. Seriously, I have learned a lot from them. I try to bring them to a level. You know, there's that solar weather lady that everybody shares, and I mean it's cool, man. But I'm trying to reach a different audience of mine, which is more of let's really be just focused on a easy to understand why this is good or not reason for radio, and will it be good or not, you know? So it's kind of what I want. So what else do we have? Yeah, pirates are often active the day before Halloween. It's not just Halloween itself. Yeah, it's of course not like Halloween itself, but still, I've heard a lot of stuff. Honestly, in the Halloween time, I heard Halloween shows pretty much like 3 or 4 days before Halloween. Actually, it's like the full week of Halloween is almost pirate land every night, which is kind of cool. So yeah, actually, it's Roger Hodgson, which is the singer and the guy that plays the piano and Supertramp. And he's touring with his band because Supertramp as a band doesn't want to come back together again. But you know what? I've seen videos on YouTube. It just sounds like Supertramp, which is what is important for me. So it's pretty cool, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. PA1WX, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Pretty cool. Nice to have all of you here. DK2, yep, you got your September issue of the Spectrum Monitor. If you guys want to see what it looks like, we got it here on my brand new, and I love it, 10-inch tablet. So this is what we have for September. The Spectrum Monitor is here. Pretty good magazine to check out for anybody that loves radio. And it's gonna be a good read tonight. I'm gonna try listening in to some shortwave, tuning the bands, and checking out the magazine. Nothing like reading the magazine. And by the way, if you guys don't know about the website, AmericanRadioHistory.com. AmericanRadioHistory.com is just amazing. So yep, and so it's a great magazine, by the way, for those that wonder. Very much like the old monitoring times, basically. So pretty cool. What else do we have? Radioactive, nice to have you on board. I'm back on the computer, and is icon back on and listening. So pretty cool. So yeah, I haven't, MDK2, you're like me. I still have a couple of articles I haven't read on the August issue. So I have the August issue and the September issue in here. I'm gonna go through some of that hopefully this weekend. I'm gonna try to have it a little more. I'm gonna try to have a little more time to listen this weekend. I've been so busy with all of the things, and the fact that we're, for me, September is kind of a new period of YouTube videos and shows for, like, I'm kind of ramping up the stuff to have more content for all the fall and the winter time, because there's more people watching and all of that. So we'll be checking that out for sure. Joshua's got BBC strong on 94.10. Cool. Jerry, nice to have you. What are the bars on the monitor for your ephedra? The different? Well, actually, it depends. So let's move on here, because a lot of what's here is signals. But let's go to a frequency range where I know there's a lot of stuff that's interference. So here's 15200. You see these big thick bars? There's one around 154. What is it? 15435. That's interference. There's another one here right smack on 15250. That's interference also. Basically what that is interference created by, I think part of it is by the router because it's on a network. Part of it is, I have the impression the ephedra itself creates a bit of noise and local interference from different devices around here. It is really interference, local interference from different devices, the computers we use for the SDRs and so on. All of that creates noise, and it does show up as lines in my display. There are parts of the spectrum I have almost none. 19 meter band, 15 megahertz is the worst part of the spectrum probably for me, where there's a lot of it, honestly. So yeah, Montreal is beautiful. Yeah, Jordan was on the BBC News. He was in the newspapers also. I saw, and a few, he was on many platforms actually. It was kind of funny because it's crazy. Does any, okay, question from Lapostista. Does someone know the Pirate Radio Annual has a release date? Just out of Can I ask about the Ethon Field radio with Bluetooth? Is it a good radio? Joshua, I have seen a few people that actually posted videos and comments on it. From what I've heard is that it's not a bad, it doesn't seem to be a bad radio. Now, because I've not tried it myself, I won't, I tell you it's an amazing radio. It's from what I've read and from what I've seen, it seems to be interesting, honestly. What does the symbol with the wrench? That means that these people are moderators, that they can actually throw out anybody that they won't like except me. I'm the head wrench. And so basically they can just throw anybody out. And it's very useful for idiots that show up, that sometimes try to cause problems. Richard's got BPM, the Chinese time station on 5,000 kilohertz. Hey, Mickey Delmage, nice to have you here. And about that posting and recording about the Irish DXer getting a QSL for a shortwave report for Voice of Korea, it seemed that the interviewer on BBC World Service was surprised people listened to shortwave. Really? Yeah, I know that that Jordan guy, that Jordan Hambron, and I've seen a lot of stuff because I see his I'm in his shortwave Facebook group, and he's posted a lot of stuff. What's funny about it is that the BBC World Service, has a very extensive shortwave radio output. And the fact that people, or the interviewer on the BBC World Service, was surprised that people listen to shortwave is kind of, why do you think that they've done tons of, shortwave outlets on the BBC? This is crazy. It's like, what? It's just nuts. So imagine, to Holland, nice to have you here. Regards, PD1PME from the Netherlands. Cool, nice to have you here. MDK2 says, days before Halloween, I think parents are making test broadcasts. Gotta make sure all systems go for the bright night. Yeah, absolutely. Big night. Elton Byington, nice to have you on board. Says used to get ZNS in Nassau, Bahamas on 1540. Cool. That's a good catch. What else do we have? Yeah, I love Supertramp too. Shortwave Spud. Nice to have you here. Andy RC, nice to have you here from Cornwall, UK. Irish event are still dead as doo-doo. Field day tomorrow. See if any activity. Yep. You know, the solar flux is very low, so the 10-meter band, unless there's some sporadic e-skip, is going to be very quiet. So the best that you can wish for, I think, is some kind of sporadic e-skip activity that pops up, honestly. Because, wow. David Arden says, all of us should subscribe to the Spectrum Monitor. Absolutely. Amazing magazine. I mean, I stumbled across the Spectrum Monitor, what, 3 years ago? I think it was 3 years ago. And it's my, like I always say, it's my Christmas gift. In December, I renew my subscription for the year to come. It's, you know, it's just an amazing magazine. Great articles, very well done magazine. It's the magazine. The only thing, and I understand that sometimes the you know, some people don't like the fact that it's an electronic publication. I do understand that because some people don't like reading on their computers, or, you know. I actually purchased this 10-inch Android tablet for the main purpose, actually, for it. The 90% of what I'm going to do with this is going to be reading magazines and books. But, of course, you know, I got an Android channel that I've reactivated, so I thought having an Android tablet would be a good thing for the Android channel. One thing also that I want to mention is if you guys don't know about this, it's a very inexpensive. It's a very good publication, and it's the so I have it here, which is the International. It's from Gail Van Horn. The International Shortwave Broadcast Guide, Summer 2018 edition here. This is updated twice a year. For newbies, for people that are actually new to the hobby, there's a lot of information in here. Plus, it's a very interesting book. It's available through Amazon, and it's, I think, $7.99 in the US. It's $9.99 Canadian. It's not expensive, so I purchase it every 6 months when it's out. There's a lot of stuff in there, including a frequency guide for utility stations and international broadcasts, articles, talk about radio, frequency ranges, propagation, everything. It's a very, very nice publication to have, actually. So that's something to check for also, as well as the Spectrum Monitor, honestly. Very, very nice publication, honestly. So yeah, solar flux is low. It's going to probably stay low for a while, so we gotta get used to that, for sure. So yeah, QST magazine. I actually, QST magazine is not bad. I actually had a what was it in about 10, 12 years ago, there was more than that, 20 years ago, there was a radio festival here in Montreal, and I had won a QST magazine subscription, which was pretty good, honestly. Don Brown, nice to have you here from La Belle, Florida. KQ4YM, sorry, KQ4YM. Nice to have you on board, Don. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's the best way to power it. Non-linear power supply for the Kiwi. Make sure that it has a... So a lot of it might come from other devices or, you know, the computer. Michael Place found all India radio 7550. The signal's a little bit disturbed, but I think because I use a ham radio antenna, which is I connected with alligator clips. Yeah, well, 7550 is one of those frequencies that that might actually... I don't know if it's still early here because the sun sets in like 3 hours, but let's check 9445 just out of it. Nothing much. I haven't heard All India Radio in a little while. And by the way, if you love All India Radio, why not write them a line? Huh? They are reevaluating. What the hell? They are reevaluating if they are staying on shortwave. So that needs to be. Let them know you're listening, because we don't want to lose All India Radio. What else do we have? Shortwave Spud says, how do I become a mod? You need to earn my trust. Very simple. Earning my trust. And the day that you have actually earned my trust, you're a moderator. So that means being here regularly, always being polite, always being okay, never creating any problems, participating, helping out sometimes. So that's the way you do it. Charles Williams, what are good batteries for the Texan PL660? The ones that came with the radio last about 11 hours at moderate volume. I use, because what, you know, they're surprising, the ones that come with the Texan receiver, but they are really rated quite low. What I use, and I'm going to show you guys, and I've been very happy with these, is the Amazon Basics. So Amazon Basics AA rechargeables are great. I bought a pack of 16, and I'm about to buy another pack of 16 actually, because I have some really old rechargeables here that are soon to be pretty much dead. Because I've had them for like 15 years. So, you know, rechargeable batteries don't last forever. So I'm about to buy another batch because, I mean, wow, not very expensive and very, very, very good. The Amazon Basics NIMH, these are, I believe, these are 2,000 milliamps. I believe they have like 2,500 milliamps, and I just saw that the auto focus is on, but I'm gonna leave it on because it doesn't seem to be too bad. So Amazon Basics, buy those. You'll be very happy. The only thing is that they might not charge very well inside the receiver. If you charge from within the receiver, best if you use a outboard a battery charger. But these are amazing. This pack of 16 I've had now for, I'd say, about 2 years, and they are just amazing. And I'm about to buy another pack of 16 or something like that, I can tell you that. So what else do we have? Radio reading party. Patrick Manny, nice to have you here. Yeah, long time. And Nissan Greenwich, nice to have you on board from Dublin. Dave Freeman, when you be ready to add your icon at Global Tuners? You know what? Give me time. I'm going to think about it and see how I can set it up permanently. But I would really, you know what? We'll try to do this fall and have it online. So, you know. Bill Ross, nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board. Yeah. Well, you know what, Bill, the reason I purchased the 2000 is because from experience, I've noticed that the higher the rating, the faster they lose their charge after a certain amount of time. And that's why I purchased 2000. These, a year from now, full charge will still be almost full charge. The 2500s and higher rating, they lose faster their charge. Now they're still good. I mean, if you get 2500, they're perfect. But they will lose their charge a little faster. It seems that the higher the capacity, the faster they lose the charge after a certain amount of time. It's the only drawback, I would say. For the rest, of course, if you use them all the time, it's not a problem. Because if you use them all the time, well, you pack more energy in the 2500 than the 2000, that's for sure. So, and you know, maybe the advancements in battery technology make them better now. I don't know, but I've often noticed that they discharge faster. So, what else do we have? Let me just go down slowly. I'm going down slowly. Yeah, it is ironic the BBC World Service doesn't know that they're shortwave. Yeah. Michael Place says, I personally don't like those radios with pre-built Bluetooth. They are actually too overpriced with the Texan PL310 ET added Bluetooth dongle for about $3 US. Yeah, you know, you can add yourself, absolutely. Joshua, Jill, you ever listen to Radio New Zealand on 13840? I actually listened to Radio New Zealand 13840 many times during the summer, this summer. Usually packed in a very, very good signals. And they've moved to 11, I think they moved to 11725 at 0400. Been listening to that also. 11725 at 0400. JS Westwood. If you want to have advanced notification of my shows, of my live shows, you can also send me a little email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, and I will about an hour, 30 minutes before the show starts, you get a notification from me, an email. So yeah, well, you know, I gotta say, reading on a computer is a little boring. Reading on the tablet is more interesting. But yet, you know, I read a lot of stuff on the computer. I've been reading a lot of ebooks on the computer. Sometimes I pop up the book on that big screen here and read there, or, you know, on the 50-inch TV in my living room, you know. What else do we have? Yeah, WWCR is on 13845. Let's just check it out. Here we go.
The phone number to call is 1-800-338-3030. That's 1-800-338-3030.
So that's WWCR on 13845 right now. So pretty cool. What else do we have? Rock Restaurant is receiving Thailand 9920 S9 in Stockholm. Pretty cool. SWL60N, nice to have you on board from Stockholm, Sweden. Let's try to have all the Nordic countries or something. What else do we have? Radio Romanian English 13650. Let's check it out. Very weak. Let's check out 11850. 11850 is a little better. Radio Romania. I'm going to do something here. I believe this will stop. Yeah. So not very strong Radio Romania tonight. 11850 better, but not that great. Try 1.8 and 2 megahertz. Not, yeah, it's daylight here, Dr. Sisab. There won't be anything here. Really won't be anything to listen to. I can tell you that. The sun's gonna set in about 3 hours from now. So you know, we still have a lot of daylight left. So the low frequencies are not there. Mad Radio DX, unfortunately, Radio Australia International won't be returning shortwave. Senate there rejected, reinstating them back on air according to shortwave blog article. Yeah, That is so sad. Jerry is listening to Pirates on 255.550. Yeah, the Amazon batteries are great. George Eakin, nice to have you here. Thank you very much, George. And by the way, a little self-promotion here for anybody that loves what I do. Don't hesitate to donate. This helps me out in purchasing equipment, changing the equipment that breaks, and just, basically have the live shows all the time. So if you enjoy what I do, please think about it. PayPal.me/shortwave or the Yahoo email you see there. And it can also be on patreon.com/radio and computers, where there's 11 patrons right now giving me a little something every month. So thanks for those that have donated. And, I'm trying to reach out to people that watch all the time, never donated a penny, that love what I do, been watching for, months, if not years, And if you don't use electronic payment stuff, well, you can do like some people, like Brett Wayne, for example, that you can send me a international postal money order. All you have to do is just write to me at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, ask me for my postal address, and you can send me an international postal money order, and I'll be glad to accept it. And thanks for everybody that have donated, my friends. It is much appreciated. And if you appreciate all the effort I put into the live shows, please think about it. Okay, let's continue on with anteloops. Anteloops are great. The anteloops, they're actually the same as anteloops. These Amazon Basics are are state charged pretty long. So and most good, others that I like. I have these Duracell. These ones are AA, but the Duracell rechargeables are pretty good too. But they are more expensive a little bit. But I actually use them and really am happy with the Duracell rechargeable batteries. These are AAAs for my wireless microphone. Yeah, it is much better to charge, absolutely, Eric, as Eric Cottrell says, the batteries outside of the radio rather than within the radio. Absolutely. Absolutely. And nice to... no problem, Charles Williams. I'm here for there, and we are here for helping out. If you got questions about shortwave, about radio in general, do not hesitate. We are here for that. So, Bullfrog 89 says more power can tire out quicker. Yeah, it's possible. Bill Ross, interesting advice on the batteries. I'll rethink my usage. Well, it all depends. Like I said, the higher capacity, if you use them all the time, it's not a problem because they never discharge by themselves. But 2500, 3000 milliamp, they tend to discharge much faster than the lower ratings. So it's good to have the lower ratings for the things that you don't use very often. Your batteries are going to still be good. And the higher ratings, you put in them in the stuff you use all the time. So some of the radios I've got here that I use all the time, like the Countercom GP5, for example, I use all the time. So what I do is I put the higher capacity ones that I've got here because they don't have time to discharge. Because one of the flaws of the GP5 and the Texan PL365, which are the same radio, is that the batteries drain fast when you don't use it. For some reason, this radio actually consumes more energy when it's off than the average radio. So, yeah, Eric, the IKA battery is apparently very good. I've had so many people tell me, oh, they're amazing. So, Max S. Strong says, I have been wondering about rechargeable batteries as my portable collection seems to be growing out of control. Yeah, the rechargeable batteries, I've got somewhere around 50 rechargeable batteries, 50 to 60 rechargeable batteries here, because as crazy as it might sound, almost every portable receiver in my collection there has rechargeable batteries in them, and I try to keep them, in working order as much as possible, and that's why I often will be actually cycling through my collection to make sure that I also cycle through the batteries from time to time. What I hate the most is radios like the ContiCom or my Texan PL 380. I hate it when they're like unmatched. It's 3 batteries. It's like, it's cool and the batteries aren't paired together. But when you get a radio with like 3 batteries, most chargers charge by pair. They don't charge alone. So it's like, unless you buy one of those special chargers that really recharges each battery single, you're stuck with, okay, I've got one that's not charged, so I'm going to have to wait for the next cycle of the GP5 to have a pair that will actually be charging again, which is annoying. I never understood these radios that like use 3 batteries, or it's like, what the hell are you thinking, 3 batteries? I remember my 40 channel handheld CB, the TRC 234, I think it's the number. It uses 9 AA's. I mean, 9? Why the hell do you choose 9? Come on, it's 8 or 10, not 9. It's always annoying. So, yeah, they do come in different milliamps, absolutely. And so, maybe they're better today, but from my personal observation, what I say is get the lower rating for things that don't use all the time, and you want to make sure that the batteries are still good after 6 months. The 2,000 milliamp hour in 6 months are still going to be really good. They're still going to have like 90% of their power. If you take 3,000 milliamp hour, from my experience, because I've tried I tried different power ratings. I even tried Duracell. I had Duracell 2600 rechargeables, and I had Duracell 2100, and they were actually doing the same thing. The 2600 milliamps, yes, for everyday use, they last longer because they have more power. But if you leave them alone, and you leave the 2100 alone, the 2100 will still have 90% of their power in 6 months. The 2600 will have like 50% of their power in 6 months. They lose it faster when the rating is higher. And that's personal observation. It's not scientific or anything. It's because I use a lot of rechargeables that I've noticed that the higher rating are not good for a long storage period. The lower rating are good for a long storage period. So it's probably good to have a mix of different ratings of these batteries. And just make sure you get NIMH. On eBay there's a lot of, and try to forget about those eBay crappy things. I've tried a lot of eBay packages, eBay Chinese crap. 24 AA, 2500 milliamp for, you get 24 of them for like $10 or $15. It's like they're really cheap. They are the worst crap you can actually buy. And I suspect that some of the Chinese stuff on eBay is not, it's not the right thing that's written on the battery. They say NIMH. I have the impression they're nickel cadmium, the older style, but they actually kind of put the wrong thing on it. And what are you going to do? You get batteries from China that you pay $10. You're going to return the batteries. It's going to cost you 10 times more to return the batteries. So you just shut up and give the guy a bad rating or something. Just crazy. It's just it's like that. So, so we've beaten the 100. Actually, I've seen 108 appear for a few seconds while I was talking about the batteries. So, always nice to have, what else do we have? So let me go down slowly. Sorry here. Dexfar is listening to 4625. Have you ever heard Dexfar any voice transmissions on 4625 instead of just the buzzing? Richard Cook's got something on 11620. Check it out here. I've got a weird buzzing sound on that frequency. Weird. No stations. What else do we have? Oh, really? All India Radio on 11620. Wow. Nothing here. Cool, Joshua. Just send me an email. Make sure it's an international postal money order when I send you, because if it's a U.S. money order, they won't want to change it here. But a international money order works. It's pink. It has like a pink top. So thanks, Joshua. I will send you all the information. Official Shortwave Radio at gmail.com for those that want to send me a little something and don't use the electronic stuff. You know what, Max Strong? It's totally possible. You know, honestly, there ain't that many battery manufacturers. Very often, the big gun manufacturers like Duracell and so on actually have different brands at different prices, but they all come from the same place. They all come from, you know, the same manufacturer, and that's something that happens very often. So you know, it's kind of nice to see that, and it's kind of nice to have you know, sometimes know that, oh, that's the same brand. There's so many things that are actually branded in names that we wonder what that is, and they're actually really you know, really made by a well-known manufacturer. So oh yeah, I know. Bullfrog 89. Every time the fire department every year does like a tour, and they want to make sure that your fire alarm is actually working. And every year, even though, you know, like last year, I told the guy, I said, well, I just changed a battery 2 weeks ago. And the guy, the fireman, just looked at me and said, here, take the battery. Take the battery. It's you know, we're giving away batteries to put in the smoke detector. So I was like, oh yeah, cool. So I put the one that they gave me in the smoke detector, so you see that I put it there. And because it was only 2 weeks old, I took the other one and I put it in one of my stuff here that uses 9-volt batteries. I've got like a weather alert radio that uses a 9-volt battery. So thought, you know, but I never thought of you know, one of the things that always was mysterious for me was the fact that some radios sometimes are actually you know, using 9-volt batteries. I remember the old, you know, walkie-talkies, the cheap walkie-talkies from the CB from when I was young. They were using 9-volt batteries. Like, you know, those batteries don't have a lot of power. So, and by the way, Mickey, I saw your email coming in. Just to give you an idea, this is what I'm going to actually use. So, one of the wireless microphones that I use is the Movo. They have several types, but this one is the WMIC 50. What's nice with it is it has an analog, like, you know, Walkman style 1/8 plug, but you have also other models that have different types of plugs. I actually use this a lot to do videos. So there's the wireless transmitter and receiver. They're pretty good. Sound quality is quite good. And these run for about $125. The Movo, which these were purchased with the donations of users, you know, to have wireless microphones to do videos and stuff. So it comes with the receiver and the transmitter, and they have extra outputs. So if you want to have earphones to hear yourself while you're doing something, or hear what it's receiving if somebody else is using it, it's a very complete package. But the Movo, I'm very happy with them, and the range is pretty good. They're in 2.4 gigahertz, and they're spread spectrum. That means that it's all everything that is sent through the microphone is encrypted. There's no problem there. I received your donation, Bobby Burgess. Thank you very much for supporting me. And I just saw it come in through email. Thank you so much, Bobby. So yeah, no, radioactive. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. That's what I hate. I would love my GP5 SSB if it had a keypad. Same for the PL365. No keypad. They're the same radios. Bill K3 WDR, nice to have you here. It's the flux capacitor. Yeah. You're giving me an idea. I want to watch. I haven't watched Back to the Future in such a long time. And I noticed the other night while going through stuff on Netflix that they had the 3 movies on Netflix. And I thought, oh man, it'd be so good to have like a binge watch of the three Back to the Future movies. I'm going to do that this weekend, I think. I haven't watched in many years, and I love Back to the Future. Tutor Channel says the new IKEA batteries come from Japan, and they mainly produce Envelopes. And I think it's from it's the Sanyo. Envelopes is made by Sanyo, if I'm not mistaken. MBK2 have been using rechargeable batteries for years and years, going back to when NiCads were the most common kind of... Yeah. So, oh, no worries, Joshua. Tomorrow, Saturday, there's no show, so you're not going to miss out on anything. So, no, tomorrow there's no show. It's one of the Saturdays that I have off. It's funny because I've had now 3 Saturdays in a row with, well, 2 because I couldn't the other day, but we had like 2 Saturdays in a row. So I got somebody telling me, oh, you got some Fridays and Saturday shows, and the Saturday shows are just every 2 weeks because I try to keep myself, I try to keep, and I try to keep, one Saturday every 2 weeks just to stay sane. I mean, when you do live shows all the time, it's easy to just go insane because you're always in that thing. And I think last year, well, at the beginning of this year, I think I did too many live shows. I kind of live showed out. So for now, I'm on the radio shows. I still haven't taken a decision as to bringing back any other types of shows except the radio ones. The radio ones are fun to do because they're very different. They touch on one thing that I love, which is my passion for radio. And it's an easygoing show. Every other show that I have to really prepare lots of material and stuff to make sure that I've got tons of things to talk about and answer questions. And it gets at some point a little too much. Plus the fact that I have to do my videos every day, post them on my channels. I got 6 channels to take care of, which is a lot of YouTube channels. I mean, most people take care of 1. I take care of 6. And they need to have content, regular content. So I can't just sit down and say, hey, I'm not doing videos this week, because that's not how it works, especially because it's my living. I live off of this. I gotta do things. And so for now, you know what? Radio stuff. And I almost did I kind of like it, and I almost did a unannounced radio show the other day. I came this close on Wednesday evening of doing a radio show. So, you might have these pop-up shows from time to time. Maybe on the VHF scale also, because I want to kind of do a little more, but, not have what I like about what's happening now is I have the shows. The Friday show is perfect. It's okay. I got no problem with every Friday's 2000 hours UTC being here. But I don't want to have the burden of having to be here every week for like 5 different shows all the time. It gets to a point where it's a lot. And I find, I would say that in the month of May and June of this year, when I ended pretty much all the shows I was doing, except the radio ones, I found myself kind of looking at myself and saying, hey, you know what? All I do is YouTube stuff. I am like a guy in a cavern that's locked up inside a room doing live shows and videos all day. And at the same time, there's something happening. There's a world out there that I haven't been taking enough time to appreciate. So that's why, for now, radio shows are the only thing I'm keeping for the live shows. I don't know if I'll come back with the tech shows for those that follow me on the tech shows. Right now, I don't feel like I want to do these again. Not for now. Not for now. Okay? Maybe later, but for now, I'm sticking with the radio shows. That's the fun part. These are fun to do, actually, Okay, let's stop whining. Let's stop whining. Eric Cottrell's use a Maha MHC9000 charger, can charge 3 batteries at a time. I almost bought one, not from that brand, but electronics store not far from here had a. I almost got it. I should have got it. I almost got it. It could recharge 8 batteries at the same time of any size, AAA's up to D size. Plus, it had I've never seen one, but there was at the end a 9-volt rechargeable slot also. And I remember seeing on it that it could recharge individual batteries. So if I had only 3 to charge, it would charge 3 or 5, or it's kind of cool. So what else do we have? Some people like the Lacrosse Technology BC700. Cool. Dave Todd uses Costco AAs, double A's. Never was happy rechargeables. Huh, interesting. It's all in. You know what, Dave? I can relate to that, not being happy with rechargeables, because it depends on how you use them and everything. And if you haven't used rechargeables, by the way, Dave, in a long time, today's rechargeables are a lot more interesting. When it was nickel cadmium batteries, these were shitty, and they were like, you'd leave them 2 weeks in the drawer and they would like have no more power. And if you didn't, treat them right, they would work bad. Today's NIMH batteries are so much better. And most of them today keep their charge for a very long time. So maybe it's, it's a question of trying them again. You in Whose Army? Nice to have you on board. Thank you for subscribing. Pretty cool. Richard Clements, nice to have you here. He acquired a realistic Tandy DX200, which is on its way. Any tips or tricks to get the best out of it? Get yourself. The only real way of getting something working well with the DX200, some form of outdoor antenna. The best that you can do is that. The DX200 is known to be one of the good radios at the time. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with that for sure. No problem, MDK2, 73. And I would guess I would still be here at 2200. So I guess we'll see each other again. Elton Byington says Sony ICF 2010 uses 3D cells in 2 delays. I like rechargeables when they're standard sizes. Some of the recent Texan radios use oddball sizes that you can't find at local drugstore. Yeah, a lot of the Texan receivers, but they actually will use the, they're usually not difficult to find. Most of what I've seen from like recent Texan receivers is batteries that are actually old cell phone batteries that are some of the most popular models. So they're not that difficult to find, but yeah, you can't find them at a local drugstore, that's for sure. Mélanie Jackie, bonsoir, bienvenue. Nice to have you on board from France. What else do we have? Yeah, Dexfar, there's some voice transmissions. Some people have heard voice transmissions on 4625. If you actually Google it, you will see, or find it, search it on YouTube, you will see some people actually caught voice transmissions on 4625. I vote we pause the chat for a bit for Shell to catch up. So, oh man. Hey, Scott Collier, nice to have you here. Always cool to have you on board. What else do we have? Yeah, the PL880 that has that unusual battery. X80Xer Keegan, nice to have you on board for Northwest Arkansas. Pretty cool. Scott Collier says, excellent 25-meter band reception in central US. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Lou Rubens, nice to have you on board from Florida. David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. Commando 602 from Arizona. Is it getting cold in Canada yet? Nah, not even. Yesterday and today we were like at mid-70s. But honestly, we're supposed to go back to the 80s and even reach 90 next week, which is pretty warm for September. We've had an amazing summer. It was so hot. I stayed inside in the air conditioning almost all summer. It was too hot. Dave Todd, 4633, quiet now. I think it was a Mars net. What else do we have? Can we get a prediction of when 10 meter will open up? Quick prediction. There's no real prediction to be done on 10 meters. There's two ways 10 meters opens up. Either sporadic E. That can happen at any time, so it's worth it listening and checking out all the time. The other way is when the solar flux will get higher and when the solar activity will get up. And that, that we don't really know, when solar flux actually gets up, when you see a sunspot, start checking it out. You never know. Free Saxon, nice to have you here. I was out to see you out and about the other day in the field. I wanted to do some walk in the park videos this weekend, didn't even have time. Should have read. Oops, I'm just gonna go back here. Free Saxon was out to see you out in the park the other day. Yeah, it's fun to go outside and do some radio listening. But you never really know, honestly. Nick Amendote, nice to have you here from Romania. And yes, please, thumbs up. Jill, I want to test shortwave in the mountains, about 1,500 meter height. Do you think will help with reception? At least will be noise free. Well, one thing's for sure, if you'll be noise free, that's for sure. And being higher in the shortwave spectrum reception, being at 1,000 meters or 2,000 meters, I'm not totally sure of its effect on shortwave reception. Is it better? Maybe. On the VHF, UHF range, the line of sight stuff, being high helps you a lot. You get a lot more distance. But by the nature of shortwave, being higher, will it improve the propagation? I don't know. But one thing for sure, you will have really, really clear reception because it'll be noise free, honestly. Jeff Miller, nice to have you here. Panasonic Analog Pro rechargeables were great for him. Cool. Gary Horriman, nice to have you on Tokyo, Japan. Good morning on Saturday morning. Dave Todd says, exactly. When you went to use NiCad rechargeables, they were dead. No life in the drawer. Had to use them right away. Yeah, that was annoying because you had to charge them pretty much when you wanted to use them because that was it. Until there were nickel metal hydride and IMH batteries, I had very little use for rechargeables except for things that were very high demand. So, for example, I use NiCads in my remote control racing cars because that demanded so much power, it was almost impossible to have them run on, alkaline batteries, and it would cost you anyways like so much money. So I had the NiCads for that. The NiCad batteries I would use for the RC 4x4 and cars that I had. Apart from that, I was using, for a long time, all I was using was AA alkaline batteries in my portable receivers, because those used a lot less. Because if you used NiCads in a portable radio, if you didn't listen to the radio for 2 weeks, batteries were dead. You had to wait for them to charge again, which was very, very annoying. But today it's much better, Dave. Today the NIMH batteries keep charge, and they are worth buying. They are really worth buying. Even if you leave them in your drawer for a month, they're still going to have enough, a lot of power left that you can use, which is much better. So, Dart Vegan, nice to have you on board. Thank God it's Friday. From London, Ontario. No problem. What else do we have? We had big thunderstorms on Tuesday here. But 10, 11 meters can open up anytime. Remember one thing. That's one thing I want to know. That's what I want to know. Is a lot of people think that when the solar activity is at minimum, because we're at solar minimum, that there's 10 meters dead is going to stay dead. Remember that solar minimum is not something that's flat. It has little moments of more activity. It will have moments where sunspots will appear. For a couple of weeks, the solar flux will reach 100, and you'll be able to listen to all sorts of things. 10 meter will open, will be live. It lasts a couple of days, a week or two, then the sun quiets down again, and we have another quiet period. Plus, remember that sporadic E, there's another peak of E-skip that happens around Christmas time, around the winter solstice. So, you never know. Take care, Dexpar. Nice to have you on board as usual. Eric says everyone knows that Canada is always cold. No, I haven't tried North Korea this week, Richard. I actually haven't tried a lot of radio this week. I need to try a little more, for sure. Rob G, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool to see. RT Guillaume, nice to have you here. I'm not on this Saturday, Randy, in California. I will. This is the Saturday I'm off. I will be back for the radio shows. We'll be back next week at 2000 UTC on Friday, September. What? It will be September 7th. Incredible, September. So yeah, medium wave band is interesting to explore. Absolutely, David. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, Bullfrog. That's pretty much what I think also on shortwave. Location is probably better than height, because it, I don't think it has more, it's Erica Troll, yeah, that's also, you got to be careful. You're right on that. I did not mention it, but the first NIMH, the first nickel metal hydrates, did not keep charge also. The newer technology that have lower self-discharge. When you buy batteries, it's very simple. When you buy rechargeables, always look at, there's always that catchphrase that they put, which says something like, usually they state keeps charge or will or pre-charged. If you see on the package it says pre-charged, that means they're keeping their charge. That means they're the newer technology designs that actually have very low self-discharge rates. And because the first or the older ones absolutely did. It was like NiCads. They didn't keep their charge. Charles Williams loves his PL 880. It's a great radio, actually. Richard Cook's hearing music on 9665. Not sure if it's Pyongyang or another station. Rob G, only one question. Texan or Sanjian? I like both. It depends on the model of the receiver. Honestly, I have a lot of Texan receivers. I love them. I got a few Sanjian radios here. Love them too. It's most... I think the real question is which model, actually. Because both Texan and Sanjian have great receivers, but they also have some of the crappy receivers. It's just important to choose the correct ones. So, Rob G, 909X or PL 880? I would honestly get a PL 880 personally, although the 909X has a very cute design. Because you know, it seems to suffer the same fate as the original 909 on the Sanjian side. It's a little deaf. And with an outdoor antenna, it works great. But just with the telescopic whip, I've seen a lot of people saying it's kind of deaf. In the original 909, I've got the Radio Shack DX398 here, which is the 909. It's a little deaf, just with the telescopic. But with a long wire, it's amazing. It's great. Zachary Antle, nice to have you on board. Nice vest. Yeah, my China Radio International vest. So I thought, hey, why not? Let's put a... it's a little small, though. You know, it already wasn't that big when I got it, but I did gain a little weight, so now it's kind of, you know. And it says, like, extra large on the back. It's like these Chinese people are small because, I mean, that extra large is not very large. I can tell you that. Jeff Miller, I hate my Eton Trawler 3, but like the Eton Satellite Granding Edition of the Eton Mini. You know, I have the Traveler 3 Granding Edition, which I find works great. But you know what? They're not all created equal, I think. David Ohio, nice to have you on board. And have a great weekend. Mick 8, nice to have you on board from Leicester, UK. Been a month or so since I was last here, holidays and all that. Looking good, thanks. Nice to be here. Always fun to be here, actually. These are, you know, they're fun shows to do, also. What else do we have? Lord Vegan says it froze. So I don't know. Here everything looks good here. So I don't know. Maybe it's on your local end. Some YouTube stuff. Just refresh. Gerald Monte, nice to have you here from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Nice to have you on board. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Donald Hosmer says, I compared the Texan PL 880 to a XH Data D808 at a recent Shortwave conference. Very comparable in reception. The latter is a lot cheaper. Got my D808 from China for $75. Last time, I haven't checked lately, but last time I wanted to get a D808, it was like $180 Canadian. So I thought, Dr. Sisop got something on 21975. Wow, what does it sound like? I'll try it, but I don't think I'll hear anything here. But I don't know. That's above the 13-meter band. What does it sound like? Jeff Miller, poutine gel. You need more poutine. Need more poutine. Actually, you guys are going to be amazed at the fact that as a Québécois and a French Canadian, I don't like poutine that much. Everybody's like, really? It's like, you know, I will eat like 2 or 3. You know, I'm the kind of guy that was like, if I see you with a poutine, I'll say, can I just take 1 or 2 bites? just for the taste and like, okay, it's okay. After 2 bites, I'm like, that's okay. I got enough. I'm more of a pizza guy. Bring me to a good pizza place. Oh man, you got me in. I can tell you that. Vianney Arsenault, bonjour, bienvenue. Nice to have you on board from the Gaspésie, eastern part of Quebec. Pretty cool. Rick Cottrell says, September 9th is the next time you will be on the International Radar Report. Yes, actually I will be 3 weeks in a row. I will be on September 9th, September 16th, and September, what's the next after that? September the 23rd. September 9th, I will be there participating, Eric. On the 16th, I will be actually helping out because Sheldon won't be there. So I guess I will be in the controls and managing the show a little bit. And I'll be there then after that, like on the 23rd. So I'll be starting next Sunday, the 9th. I will be there for 3 weeks in a row. Dan Walsh, nice to have you on board, and says, how many radios do you have? I need to count them, but probably, I don't know, probably 100 at least. I got tons of them. Actually, somebody the other day said, remember when you actually went through all your radios and you took like 2 shows and you talked about all the radios you had? It'd be funny if you do it again. So I said, yeah, for sure. But I have at least, I would say I easily have somewhere like 100 radios. But, a lot of different types of radios, from the cheap $10 radio to the more expensive, ICOM $2,000 radio. That's for sure. Take care, my friend. Let me just go back here. La Postisla, nice to have you here. Always nice to have you here. Matt Valley, you didn't gain weight. Your vest shrunk. Yeah. Actually, when I got this, I weighed about 180 pounds. 175, 180 pounds. Today, I'm close to 200. I actually reached a peak of 220 pounds. And I said, no, I want to lose. So I'm like 195, 198 right now. Trying to lose another 20. The Earth's gravity increases as we get older. Jeff Miller says, PL 880 over the 909X simply because the Texan is about 25% cheaper and similar in performance. And maybe I would add maybe the PL's 880 is even a little better in performance, honestly. Commando 602, 73. Take care. It's nice to have you here. Cuban Lady on 11635. Let's check that out. Yep. Pretty good signal too. 11635. HM01. Radioactive's got WWCR 9350. Tones or something. Is it kind of very stable, Dr. Sisa? Maybe it's some kind of local interference you've got in your area. Oh, there's nothing wrong with poutines, Zacharianto. Nothing at all. It's just I'm more of a fan of pizza than poutine, but poutine is not bad. I mean, it's not my favorite thing. It's like I'll take a couple. I'll take a couple of bites just to satisfy kind of my taste buds, and then it's okay. I got enough. I mean, some people I know would eat 3 poutines in a row and they'd like, bring on more. I'm just not that. I think it comes from the fact that I'm not a French fry type guy. I don't eat French fries usually much. I find that after 2 or 3 French fries, it's like, yeah, okay, I got enough. And I think that's the problem. The poutine has French fries, so that's probably why. But pizza is what I like. If you bring me to a good pizza place, oh man, you got me in, I can tell you that. Okay, Vianney, I'm going over there. I'm going to eat pizza. Andrew the Extra says, I'm British and not that fond of British food, so I don't blame you. It's just that it's funny. People look at me as like, really? Zachary Antle says, a friend helped me find letters about my ancestors' farm in Norway going back to the 1600s. Wow. It's amazing. Take care, Sean Fahey. Nice to have you here. They've taught salt and malt vinegar on my fries. Pretty cool. You guys are going to get me hungry. You know, Eric, if it was for me, honestly, I'd be there every week. Okay? Because I've had good feedback. Sheldon told me that, he found that my participation and the input I have on the show is great. And he's got some people saying that since I've been there, the show is kind of, has a new, a little something that's kind of, value added or whatever. And honestly, if it was just for me, I probably would be there every Sunday. Sometimes I think about it. Sometimes I'm thinking, you know what, I should be there every Sunday. But the reason I don't do it is because I also have a life out of the radio world. And I know that somebody will be really mad at me if and that's the same reason why I don't have a show every Saturday. If I start making a show every Saturday, plus going to the International Report every Sundays, that means you can pretty much, now Sundays, it's not bad because it's a 30-minute show on the Sunday mornings and the rest of the Sunday is okay. That could go by. But when I do a live show like this, it pretty much breaks my day in half. You can't really do anything. Like tonight, I had a couple of friends that said, hey, we're going out and we're going to go eat and blah, blah, blah. It's be funny to be there. I can't be there. I have a live show on YouTube. It's my commitment to my fans, and it's my work. I can't go there. By keeping one Saturday out of two, free, I can go with friends, go out and stuff like that, and have fun. But, the International Radio Report wouldn't be that bad because it's just a 30-minute thing. Honestly, I'm back home by, And actually, I've been enjoying doing it because I've been turning that into a let's have fun downtown Montreal on a Sunday, with friends and so on. So every time I go to the International Radio Report, I always meet my friends. I always tell a couple of my friends, oh, let's meet up downtown and go brunch, and then we'll, go somewhere and visit museums and do things. Honestly, the International Radio Report bit, not bad, but, it's all in trying to keep a little bit of time for me. But honestly, I love participating to the International Radio Report, honestly. Vianney says, I have found a really nice place where I can listen and transmit on ham radio band, and at the same time, when I was back from there yesterday, I have had a chance to see 7 moose. Wow. That's called being out in the wild, Vianney. What the hell is that? I've never heard that weird. What's that? That's a cop. I never heard that type of siren ever before. You guys probably heard it. I never heard that type of siren. What the hell is that? And he was like speeding really, really fast on the street here. Whoa. What else do we have? Okay, David Arden. Have you ever tried listening to all your radios at once? No. That's something I've never done. So maybe I should make a video and have all of my radios work at the same time. But what I will do sometimes that I like to do is, for example, if I listen to Radio Romania, I'll align 5 or 6 radios, different radios, all tune them to the same frequency of Radio Romania, and all have them on at the same time, like in a surround sound style shortwave listening. Radioactive, how is being on the International Radio Report working out for you? Oh, I love it. I really love it. Honestly, it's a fun part of a Sunday morning. I kind of find it cool to be in the studio there and just, you know, participate. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. Really love being there. Bobby Burgess got Domino's. You want to hear a funny story about Domino's? I'm sorry, it's not shortwave. But there's a Domino's pizza about, I'd say about a kilometer away from here. Kilometer and a half. And the other day I saw their ad. They were saying that if you had never ordered on the internet, you would get a second pizza free of the same value. So I thought, hey, 2 pizza for the price of 1, why not? I'm going to try it out. And I went on the internet and it said, oh, you're too far away from a Domino's pizza. I'm like, I'm a kilometer away. I actually had Domino's pizza in the past and they do come over here. But there's some kind of glitch on their internet website. It's like weird. Mark Brando, feature-wise, 880 is a great value. 909 is fun to use ergonomically, but is somewhat deaf on the whip. Yeah, that's what I've heard, and that's what I have on mine. Mine DX, I've got the Radio Shack DX398, which is the 909. It is a little deaf, but it's an amazing radio, and I'm still happy to have it. For those that wonder, I got the original. I'm just going to show you guys right here. It's actually, I just saw it today while I was actually going around a little bit. So here we go. So basically, this is the Radio Shack version, but this is the 909. The original 909 is this. So it's a beefy radio. It's heavy. But it's really, really cool, really amazing. And it has no batteries. Oh yeah, the batteries are here, but they're dead. Probably because the radio was left on. I think I left it on the other day. So I'm going to recharge the batteries. So it's a little deaf. This is the Radio Shack DX398 version. But I still love it, and it's a great receiver. A great receiver. When you put it with an outdoor wire antenna, you actually have great reception. And there's one flaw of the original. I don't know about the new ones, if they changed that. I don't know if anybody can tell me about it. Maybe they fixed it. The original 909 has a flaw where the speaker wears out over time. And actually my DX398 speaker is blown out. I use a pair of headphones or an outboard speaker when I listen to it. So, you know, I don't know if they probably fixed it. Maybe, you know, probably aimed the same speaker in the newer versions of the 909X. But the more I read of 909X, it seems to pretty much, you know, the outboard casing is different. It looks pretty cool. But honestly, it seems to be the same radio because I've seen a lot of people saying, no, it's a little deaf on the whip. And that means it's pretty much the same circuit probably as this one already. Dave Todd, oh my God, 100. Got my old R71A, and last year I searched in SDR Play RSP2. It is cool. Zach got down 175 from 225. Yeah, I can do it. It's just a question. You know what? The biggest problem is this. Is I love beer, and it doesn't help. A SWL pizza. You guys are actually making me want to have pizza. I think I'm going to have pizza after the show. They've opened up a new pizza place right here next to where I live, and man, I haven't had such a good pizza in a long, long time. It's very heavy on calories, Eric, absolutely. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. Yeah, Pizza Hut's not bad. I actually like Pizza Hut pizza. But I like it in the Pizza Hut restaurant directly. Not when I order it. I like it like freshly made in the restaurant. Here we have on the weekdays, they have like a pizza buffet at the Pizza Hut. And I haven't been there in such a long time. Can anyone advise what cheese curds is? It's, well, can anybody just, French fry sandwich. Oh boy. Here in Montreal, we have so many pizza places that it's nuts. So, like, we have a pizza place every 2 corner streets. Just a 5-minute walking distance from here, I have 3 places where I can get pizza. It gives you an idea. And this is not unique to here. It's Montreal. This is Montreal. We've got pizza everywhere. It's just nuts. So the big chain of pizzas like Pizza Hut, they have a very, very good competition here in Montreal because most people that I know actually purchase their pizza from a local pizza place that's been there for 30 years or 40 years rather than Pizza Hut, and often it's much better than Pizza Hut or any of these big chains of restaurants. Zachary says, I bet the Norwegian explains why I love fish and think places like Canada and Norway are more beautiful than tropical places. There's a lot of misconception. Nick, from what I know, it's not active right now. There's nothing really happening except when there's some contacts with schools for the International Space Station. Radioactive, what? There's a life outside the radio world? What is it like? It's a mix of going out late with friends, drinking, singing at karaokes, eating out at restaurants, and enjoying sunshine with something else than a radio. Domino's Pizza was near a cemetery. Oh my God. Eric says, I can understand about not doing a lot of shows. Every other week on the International Radio Report is great. No, I think it's good, and I like to participate. Honestly, if there's one that I like, I think the International Radio Report is probably the place I'd like to be every Sunday. Honestly. So yeah, I saw your posts. Never been there. The Afghan restaurant in Laval. It looks good. There's one. I saw one the other day. There's one downtown here near the gay village, a Afghan restaurant that looks pretty cool actually. I just walked in front of it and I was like, whoa, that looks really cool as a place. And never been there. Actually, I've never been to an Afghan restaurant, honestly. I need to try that. Mr. Henry, 1876, nice to have you on board. Bullfrog, someone has a broken siren. I don't know, it's just, okay. It's just weird. Well, it sounded like an RTTY siren. Yeah, I've never heard it. It was so weird. A bad wheel bearing. Oh, God. Yes, it's true. The International Radio Report is now relayed every week on Saturdays, 11:30 UTC on WINB 9265 kilohertz for those that want to try it. Really? Domino's has delivery fees? I always hated those places that do that. Delivery fees, come on. Richard Cook's got Shannon Volmet 5505, Royal Air Force Volmet 5450. Max says strong, missing way too much of this show, darn phone and work emails. What else do we have? Talking of listening to multiple radios, I remember the BBC experimenting with quadraphonic sound. Yeah, I remember that. Not just the BBC. There's quite a few broadcasters that did that at some time in the 90s or 80s or something. Hey, Joe Petty or Pecky, nice to have you here. I have the same radio, got it on eBay, one of my favorites. It is a nice, cool. Enjoy it if that has no issue with the speaker. Mine, this was my main. Honestly, this was my main radio. My main portable for a good 5 or 6 years. And it has RDS, so on the FM band you can actually have the ID of stations and all of that, the songs they're playing. It's actually, it has a nice form factor. I like it also because it doesn't feel like a flimsy small radio. And also when you tune the tuning knob, it actually tunes in 40 hertz increments on a single sideband, which means that it's super precise when you tune single sideband, and it's really, really amazing. This is an amazing. I would not exchange this, even though yes, it is a little deaf. I would not exchange this for anything in the world. It is amazing. Well, of course, if you give me $1 million, it's yours, and I'll get the 909X and enjoy the rest of the $1 million. But this is actually a nice radio. Honestly, I really, really enjoy the DX398, which is, once again, the same thing as the Sangean ETS 909. I got this on sale. This was sold at Radio Shack for $299 Canadian. And one day I went to the Radio Shack store and they were actually having a sale because they wanted to just, sell them all. And instead of $299, it was $149. And I looked at it and said, okay, that's the price I'm ready to pay, $149. And when I saw it at $149, it was my radio. I said, okay, I want it. I want it now. What else do we have? Bill Ross says, I've ordered a Doxytronic HF315 portable HF magnetic loop antenna in a last-ditch effort to defeat RFI. If no joy, I'll have to re-sign to no DXing, just the stronger shortwave stations. Well, don't forget one thing, Bill, that you'll be able to go out and do some little, go out and walk in the park. And enjoy radio listening in that way, like I do. It's kind of fun, but I hope it fixes. And you know what? Let us know how it goes when you get it, and if it's working well for you. Fries and gravy sounds good too. That's pretty much what I was trying. I was thinking, like Bullfrog said, cheese curd is basically cheese that hasn't been put into a round or square shape. It's just like pieces of cheese of all sorts of, all sorts of shapes. So, it's just crazy. Barbecue wings. Oh, these are good. Dave Shaw. Zut alors. Nice to have you on board, Dave. Semi 3, have a good breakfast. Yeah, it's squeaky cheese. It does squeak when you eat it. Inventini had the Sangean 818, same as the 909 with a cassette recorder. Oh, yeah, I remember that one with the cassette recorder. Even. Welcome aboard, by the way. Yes, I did say the Gay Village, downtown Montreal. I think it's one of the biggest in North America. It's like second to something like San Francisco or something. So yes, I did. And there's actually quite a few good restaurants there. Max Estrong, pesto passed here tonight. Garlic bread and red wine. Wow, that sounds interesting. I want that. Jeff Miller, Middle Eastern food is so good. You know, I haven't had much of any of those. I need to try some stuff. I went to a Japanese restaurant, and I mean a real authentic Japanese restaurant the other day. And I mean, it was amazing. Amazing. Jeff Miller, the dish I had was lamb in dice. Okay. Kamal Zoro, nice to have you. Which radio this one? This is the ATS, Sanjian ATS 909. Or it's rebranded here as a Radio Shack DX 398, but it's the same radio. You know, Eric, that's what I was always waiting for. I would almost never buy a radio at the Radio Shack store, at full price. Because I always thought they were kind of overpriced. But when they had sales, the radios were actually really decently priced. They were priced at a point where, okay, now that's the price I'm ready to pay. And it was really, really nice. Honestly, I've maybe once or twice in my life purchased a full price radio. The scanner, the Realistic Pro 43 scanner, was one example. I paid $500 for that thing and didn't wait for a sale because I wanted to have it right away. But it didn't happen very often. Most of the time I would spot a radio and I always think, okay, Radio Shack has these sales from time to time. I'm going to wait. One day I'm going to come over, it's going to be on sale. That's when I'm going to get it. And so that's when I got that one. I got several Radio Shack, and even I remember I purchased the Grundig Yacht Boy 400. It was actually sold through Radio Shack outlets. It was sold for $249, if I'm not mistaken. And I looked at it. I knew it was a good radio, and I weighed. And one day I went there, and it was like 169 or something like that. So okay, 169. That's the price I want to pay for the Yacht Boy 400. That was the fun part of Radio Shack. The sales, they would have regular sales of almost anything you want to buy at Radio Shack. You just spot it, and you would wait for the sale and buy it on sale. That's it, you know. Yeah, Urban DX, Joe. Even Tinny, enjoyed it for years until I plugged it in the wrong power supply and smoked it. So it is relegated to the batteries only. Oh, that's sad. I did that with a pair of walkie-talkies once. Okay, you guys are going to laugh at me. I had a pair of TRC2, and they were the 1 watt walkie-talkies. I'm going to show you an example that looks strangely much like that. And here it is. So, but this one is a 3 watt version. This is a 3 watt version actually. And this is the TRC214 that, by the way, if you guys watch Stranger Things in the first season, one of the kids are using this TRC214 in the show. So, this is a 3 watt, and I don't remember the number, the TRC something. It was the 1 watt version. It looked exactly like this, but it was 1 watts instead of 3. And one day I plugged in a power supply, and I had forgotten to change that little switch for the polarity. So all I saw was like a puff of smoke come out, and I thought, oh my God, I killed it. So I opened it up, and I don't know, I guess I was 15 years old at the time. So I opened up the cover, see if I could do something. And I noticed that at the power entry, they had this diode that would prevent, if you plugged it reverse, that thing would blow up, but the rest of the thing, the walkie-talkie, was intact. So I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to short it, use it tonight, and when I go to the electronics store, I'm going to buy one and solder it back so that it's like it was before. So I use it all night, and I'm happy. The next day I want to use it again, but I forgot that I changed the polarity again. But this time there was no coming back, because when I plugged it, all of the circuit inside fried. So now it's really dead. So that's the story that you guys can laugh your head off of me killing a 1 watt realistic walkie-talkie. What? To quote someone from a podcast I like, the gay neighborhood in Montreal is like gay Mecca. It's, you know what? It's like the place where, like North America once, they had there was the parade like about 2 weeks ago. I mean, everybody in North America is here. It's like it's the place. It's and it's okay. It's cool. It's cool. Dart Vegan, have you ever had to replace a telescopic antenna? I've been looking for a replacement for my Grenic G5, and it's been a real challenge finding something that is close. I gotta say, it's a challenge to find a perfect fit for a telescopic. And unless you contact the company that makes it, it's very, very difficult to find an exact replacement, honestly. I have replaced some a few times, but very often I only replace that part here where you can unscrew it, but the telescopic was not the correct size, so it wasn't gonna fit or anything, and I always would like leave it kind of partially opened or something like that. The thing is, the best fit is really to try to find the one that comes from the manufacturer, honestly. Richard Cook's got BPM China 5000, not too bad. David in Barcelona says, hello, my PL660, reliable radio for now. I had one from an earlier batch in which the tuning encoder started skipping. The shaft seized, and when I applied contact cleaner, which aid the lubrication. Huh. My current PL660's encoder works just fine, and I think I've already had it for as long as I had the other 660. So yep, I think later batches were improved. You had the problem I had with the 680. My 680 jammed, totally jammed. And Fastload that we guys see from time to time in the chat room actually opened it up, applied some sewing machine lubrication. And it's a little stiff, but it works, honestly. Even Tinny started with the DX394, then the 818, and now the ICOM R75. ICOM R75, that's a great. Oh. What was the question on WhatsApp? I'm trying to remember. I remember I saw your question. I wanted to answer it later on, and I totally forgot. Sorry about that, my friend. Sometimes, I'm a busy man. I see the things, and I say, oh, yeah, I'm going to answer the guy. But so I'm going to check it out. Okay. Last Saturday, if you use a telewhip, it's better outside to catch satellites. It's always better outside to catch satellites. Always. You'll have much more signal outside. That's really, really important. David, cats have 7 lives. This walkie was limited to 2. That depends. So you guys have 7 lives for your cats? Isn't 9 lives here in North America? Dave Shaw, I'm still using my Sony ICFs at Shortwave 33 that I got in the late 90s for shortwave listening. Wow. Fernando Scricci, nice to have you here. Do you have a realistic DX392 shortwave radio? No, I've never owned one of those. Never, but I kind of somewhat remember what these were, the realistic DX392. Bullfrog says, saw on Facebook that WBCQ has shared a picture of the new antenna being installed. Yep, for their 500 kilowatt transmitter, which is totally crazy. And just, you know, we were talking again last week when I was at the International Radio Report, me and Sheldon, about how, you know, they don't have the money for that. And we were talking about how it's kind of a flat earth group that is actually giving money for the 500 kilowatt transmitter. And you're like, what? And it continues with our conspiracy theory that shortwave broadcasters in the United States are secretly being they're secretly being given money by the U.S. government to maintain a shortwave presence just in case something would happen. Take care, Mad Radio DXer. So, you know, it's just crazy. Dr. Sisop, 680 discontinued, 660 is much better sensitivity than 800. I find I have new one, first generation 660. They're both about the same, except the new 660 has new feature. Yeah, they probably, you know, they might have fixed some of the problems from the older versions. Bill Ross, speaking of old Radio Shack shortwave models, I once owned a DX400. It was a rebranded unit and model, if I remember right. Pretty decent radio. Yeah, the DX400, I remember that. I remember the DX440 also. Man, if I had the money back then, I would have bought every short Radio Shack shortwave radio that ever existed. You know where I was really the saddest guy in the world was around 1990. Let's just go back in time. I'd say around 1990. What? No, maybe later. Let me just think about it. Early 2000. Around 2001. 2001. When I was starting out as a tech guy. I was not making a lot of money because when you start your new business, it's not, you know, you make millions of dollars right away. You got to work to have your clients. And I remember I was very tight on money, paying the bills and everything. And I went downtown and a Radio Shack store had a DX394 tabletop that I always looked at, finding it kind of nice. But what was unusual is that it was the last one. It was the demonstrator. It was the one that was on the window. They were selling it for like $69, which was a ripoff. You know, I mean, it was a cheap deal. I mean, it was a really big deal because, I mean, the original was much more expensive. It was like $200, if not more. And I remember thinking, oh man, I'd love so much to have it, but I had no money. I didn't have any money to buy it. And I was like, oh man, it's just $70 and I don't even have that to buy it. And it's still today, I remember that. I was like, oh man, it would have been nice in my collection to have a DX394. Darn it. Darn it. Yeah, it's officially September in a couple of hours here. 6 hours to be exact. Incredible how time flies. And yet, next week we're going to have like 30 Celsius weather. As if summer is still here. So, crazy. But, you know, it shows. You see the angle of the sun isn't the same as it was before. And it's very different. David says, sewing machine oil, yes, that's what I use normally to liberate shafts on potentiometers and encoders I have to clean. That time, though, it was well jammed. Just got well stuck. It's sad because, I mean, what? They use a batch of bad encoders? It's sad. No, I haven't seen Cosmic Lettuce today, Bobby. What is it saying here? We were talking about... Yes, we will tune the bands, Richard. I was just thinking about it at this time. David says, don't know, here in Spain I've always been told cats have 7 lives, but maybe there's like, you know. Michael Play says, so our Earth is flat, but if it is so, then what is happening under this pizza-like Earth? Imagine shortwave propagation on a flat Earth. How does it work? Max Strong says, I have to constantly resist the urge to buy another radio. Seriously, my latest urge is a Sony 5900. Always thought they were neat radios. You know. Hey, MDK2, welcome back. Oh, Cosmic Lettuce just got here. Nice to have you on board, Cosmic Lettuce. Really nice to have you here. Okay, so let's tune the bands a little bit if you guys wanna. Dr. Sisop, for all you new shortwave listeners, stay away from the Radio Shack 200658. Formerly, they're still selling on Amazon Radio Shack clearance, fully tinny sound that covers. There's some bad stuff out there. I have one here that's the next stack piece of crap. One of the crappiest. I think I paid $20, $25 on at Radio Shack, and it's the crappiest portable radio you've ever seen in your life. It's just crazy. There's you know, Radio Shack did have crappy stuff also. It didn't have just great stuff. So let's do a little self promotion here, guys, and then we'll tune the bands. So if you like what I do, why not help me out? It helps me buy my beer, but mostly it helps me buy equipment and maintain everything that I need. You know, when I put the tablet, you could see all the lighting system that I use that reflected off the tablet. You know, that costs money. It needs to get maintained. I need to change the lighting from time to time. I need to buy new equipment and buy stuff to just make sure that we are live and things work. And well, your donations are here for that. And you know what? I always respect, by the way, because I've had from time to time people saying, hey, I want you to do this, or that donation is for that. And by the way, I just want to say I always respect what you tell me to do with the donation. So for example, when you tell me, hey, I want you to use this donation for that, or use that for your beer, or use that for the cat, Paul the cat, sorry, he isn't here. Use that for, your equipment, use that. I always respect what you want me to do with it. That's very important. And, it helps me continue. And monetization, honestly, always get from time to time this, comment of, well, you got YouTube monetization. Yeah, and it's actually not that bad this year. Honestly, it's better than it was last year, at least. And, it's just that I ain't a millionaire either. I got to pay the bills, got to pay the internet bill. That comes with the fact that I need, unlimited internet and fast internet for doing live shows and stuff like that. And, that's where it all helps out if you like what I do. And, it takes a lot of time to prepare shows. It takes a lot of time. Okay, I'm a babbler, so, I talk all the time. I don't have too much problem with that, but still, you got to take the time. I take time off to do these shows. Tonight I had the occasion of doing tons of things. No, I'm here. I am faithful to, look, these shows are here. They're here, and they will be here. And I take the time, and I have, in respect to schedule. And, of course, one of the reasons, you guys are great. It's fun to be here. I look at the chat room tonight, you know, and all the people in here, and I'm just like, wow, such amazing people. So many cool people. So many different people from all around the world. It's just so amazing. You know, I think it was with Sheldon that I talked about it. I was like, man, you know, seeing all the people from around the world, everywhere, tuning in to this guy in Canada that's doing a live show that talks about radio. It's like, wow, okay. I never thought it'd come up to this. You know, when I started doing the Shortwave channel, I had even zero idea that one day I'd be doing live shows. For me, it was an outlet of my, you know, expertise of whatever I want to talk about that I know about. My, you know, kind of a logbook of stations I hear over time. And I had no idea live shows would actually be here at some point. I never thought that I'd be where I am at right now also. And it's kind of cool, you know? And of course, it's thanks to all of you. And thanks for those that have donated. Got a few donations during the show. And remember, because I always get this, well, you know, you get tons of donations. Remember one thing. Of all the people that watch this. So this show will have had about 1,000 views in about 48 hours, which is the typical norm. Well, out of 1,000 views, less than 1% will have donated. Think about it. It's not even 1%. On 1,000 views, and 1,000 views, there would have been a point, I don't know, 0.5%, 0.4% people that donate. And that's if we count that 1,000 views is individual people. You know, because I mean, some of you might be watching it again and again just to view things that you didn't see, or you want to review some parts where something we were talking about something. But still, you know, it's like it's really a very low number. People seem to think, well, you ask for money, you got tons of people. Okay. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. And the last thing, I will stop annoying you with that. The last thing that I want to say about that is just remember that any amount helps. There's no minimum amount. Okay, $1 is $1. If more people give $1, it would amount to something interesting. You know, so $1 is perfect. You are already making more of an effort than 99% of everybody watching. Just saying. Okay, if you love what I do, if you watch all the time, if you've been watching me for years and just like, you know, oh, this is cool, think about it. Okay, I'm going to stop annoying you guys now, and we're going to start tuning the bands. What do you guys think about that? Let's tune a little bit and see what's on the bands. Cosmic Lettuce. Hey, the other evening I was doing a star alignment, and I used WWV at 10 megahertz from Fort Collins, Colorado to do that. Cool. This is nice. You know what, Cosmic Lettuce? I used your example. Last week I was on the International Radio Report, and we did talk about the fact that if the funding for WWV, WWVH doesn't go through, WWVB also will be shut down. And WWVB is what actually makes the clocks synchronize across North America. One number that I didn't know exactly that we've learned is that 50 million clocks in North America synchronize to WWVB's 60 kilohertz signal. And when we talked about it, I mentioned how you had mentioned to me how in the field of astronomy, and I also had a few feedback from other people in scientific fields telling me, you know what, we use WWV all the time. And I just can't think, honestly, that the funding can be gone from that. That would be impossible. I just can't believe that that would come through. William Helms, next tech 1209416. Let me just check out what that is. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. And I did it anyways. Let me just check it out here. So, next tech. I have a next tech shortwave radio that's crap. So what's the number? 1209416. 1209416. Okay. Let me check if that's the one that I've got. Oh, here's there's no pictures. Okay. Oh, I see no pictures of it. Where is... It's a very, very crappy radio. I just gotta say, it's just... Okay, here's the... Yeah, let me check that out. Come on, show me a picture of that thing. Can't reach this page. Yeah, okay. Man, I need to see a picture. All I know is that I got one next tech shortwave radio and it's the crappiest thing in the world. That's all I can say. Oh man. Oh wow, Cosmic Lettuce. Okay. You know, okay, so you were surprised. So you heard WWVH in Hawaii. You know, that is the Cosmic Lettuce due to propagation. So what happened is that what was happening with propagation at the time that you listened in, the signal from Colorado was just not propagating to your part of the world and in Arizona. And because of how propagation was on that specific day, you heard Hawaii. Hawaii was coming in because propagation to that area was actually working better. So I don't know what time it was when you did that, but you know, over years of listening, 30 some years, I've heard times when I've heard a few times where Hawaii was coming in and nothing else. A few times where Colorado was coming in really well, and a lot of times where it's mixed together. You're listening in and you hear both the female voice of Hawaii and the male voice of Colorado. It really, really depends on the propagation, and this actually shows you how propagation in general on the shortwave bands is something that changes all the time. All the time. It's not something that's fixed. That's why signals go up and down on the shortwave bands, depending on solar conditions, depending on are we in some kind of geomagnetic storming. It changes the propagation of the shortwave bands. And one day you hear that signal really strong, the other day you hear that other signal. And it's like, oh, look at that. Okay. It's kind of weird. Oh, man. Ronald Zakella, nice to have you here. Who did make the... I wonder who made the X394, yeah, for Radio Shack. I wonder. Oh, man. What else do we have? Radio Romania, 7315. Let's check it out. Does it come in?
Also, there are 10 volts replaced major customers in the park, which include the same map visualization options for tourists.
9760 is really good. Radio Romania.
And bouldering routes are also included. The most frequently used are those in the lower areas, as they are more accessible. In the regions of the Zernech precipices, where we placed several info boards including details on the park's wildlife species and habitat, and a chart with the routes that can be found on the wall.
9760 is really good. Radio Romania.
Each year, around 110,000 tourists visit the Piatra Crowley National Park. 25% open foreigners. Video on the Green Planet. There's a fountain.
Voice of Turkey, 9830 in English. Pretty good signal. Voice of Turkey. Propagation seems to be not bad tonight.
Pontiac, located at a distance of 1.5 hours from Margin, is similar to a medieval town with its stone houses, bell towers rising like minarets, and serious churches. Pontiac and its vicinity are famous for filigree business. Pontiac that also attracts attention with its powerful values, made progress in the field of tourism in recent years.
My God, I can't believe you brought out the Shortwave Radio Hangout number 2 in 2014. What was the date, David? Can you tell me the date? Is there must be a date. What date was it in 2014? So we're in 2018. That means we've been more than 4 years. I've been at live shows for 4 years now. Wow. So, no, they're not going off the air, Dr. Sisop. What's happening is that the official details say that, but it's not the first year that the financing isn't there. So they're not, for now and yet, they're not going off. And we need to support. Turkey on 9830 says Richard Cook. But absolutely, write your congresswomen or men or senators, or let them know. I mean, come on. These things need to stay on, and I am amazed at the number of people that actually use them. It's not just a question of us hobbyists using it, and that's the important thing. It's a question that I think a lot more people than they realize use it. It's just crazy, you know. A 3-hour and 55-minute test from 2014. Oh God. I gotta click on it. I gotta watch that just out of curiosity, just to see what I looked like back then. Oh my God. Oh, and I had that other clock. Oh wow, this is so weird. I look at that, and I look at the background I got here, how it looks so different, and it's like, wow. Oh man, March 30th. March 30th. Oh man. Testing new HD webcam. That means I purchased my Logitech C920 in 2014. God. Ay. That's all I gotta say. Ay. Oh man. Oh man, I can't believe it. This is so freaking weird. So freaking weird. Oh man. Ay. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is amazing. I'm trying to think about, I mean, wow. I don't remember how many people were watching back then, but I don't think we've reached more than like 20 or 30 people watching live, honestly. MDK2, I'm on 9830 for Turkey right now. And Romania's on 9760. Oh man. I gotta catch up with Tom Stahl's videos. Hammerhead 88. I haven't watched some of his channel in a while. He's got great videos. Channel Radio International on 7300 Michael Place. Cool. Dr. Sisov's got CHU. Says CHU comes in on 3330. It's 3330, not 3333. And the K2 says, here in Denver I've gotten WWV, WWVH together many times. I don't know if it's what you mean, the MDK2, but you know what? When at the top of the hour, when you have the because there's two things that's kind of funny, because there's a slight delay. The fact that the other one, like Hawaii, is farther away than Colorado, sometimes there's a very slight delay in the ticks of the time. But what is amazing is the fact that when you are at the top of the hour and there's that beep for the top, not the top of the hour, but each minute, the beep, the higher pitch beep together sounds peculiar when both are coming in at the same time. Pretty amazing. Max Estrong, anyone ever been to the National Radio Quiet Zone? Where's that? In West Virginia. I don't even know. 9760 is Radio Romania. 9830 is Radio Voice of Turkey. Thanks for the donations, guys. Much appreciated. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Of course, it's kind of very local, but it'd be interesting to see WWV received in Hawaii. Yeah. Try 27555 lower side. Started coming in now. Okay, let's check it out. 27555. We'll try lower and upper sideband. I'll leave it there for a second. Channel 6, 27025 is that frequency that tells me if it's open or not. MDK2 says, I'm close WWV, but just beyond the ground wave horizon, so horizon. So WWVH can come in a lot. Cool. Michael Place says 9830 West of Turkey, mostly clear. Tux to 3. Hey. Nice to have you here. When is the best time to hear European stations calling CQDX broadcasting to eastern part of the U.S.? If you're talking about amateur radio operators, depends on the band, honestly. Pretty much all day long, 20 meter band, 14 megahertz. Early evening like this time would be the time where I start hearing 40 meter Europeans calling for eastern part of the U.S. Let's just check it out. Let's go to the 40 meter band and see if there's something. Let's check it out here. There was one station there. Looking at 72.
Mexico, Victoria Papa, Echo Milita Serui, Japan Echo.
I hear him all the time, EA3JE.
Your 5 over 9, your 5 over 9, very clear signal here in Barcelona, Spain. The name is Lou, London, Oscar Uniform. But
Lou. EA3JE from Barcelona, Spain, where David is. April 12th, 2014. Wow. Man, that's crazy. Richard Cook's got RWM and 9996. Time does fly, David. You know what? I lost. Yes, it did, William. You know, you kind of lose track of how long you've been doing things at some point. I started doing. I remember I was at kind of almost at the peak of my tech job duties when I started doing YouTube videos. And what made me, I already had a shortwave channel from almost the beginning of YouTube. It had videos of me catching stations on my Kenwood 5000 at the time, because that was I was using Kenwood 5000 in 2008. And I had videos online, but I didn't take much care of them until YouTube started telling me, hey, you are approved for monetization. And I started looking at what's monetization. And it was like, oh, you mean you can make money off of YouTube? That's okay. And I remember I started being a little more, I would do videos every day and so several every week and kind of look at what things are happening. But man, it's, wow. The first video I've posted from my moments of really being more serious as a YouTuber is 2011. And unfortunately, there's an event, and that's the sad part of all of this. There was an event that happened in 2012, around 2012, where I was kind of careless with my account, so I got hacked on the YouTube accounts or on Gmail, and my channels disappeared, and I was kind of okay. But you know what? It's I reconstructed, but unfortunately, I didn't have a backup of all the videos of that period, and I can't keep a backup of everything. Honestly, I make tons of videos every week. I wouldn't need I would need like 100 terabytes of storage just to keep the videos that I've done since the beginning, which is impossible. So at some point, you rely on the fact that YouTube will keep them for you, which I know is a bad way of thinking, but I can't keep every video. I used to have, here, look at that little spot here that's just behind me. It used to have, and there's another spot like that here on my left side. It used to have 500 gigabyte drives stacked one each on top of the other on that side too, that had all the videos that I were doing. They had all the videos. They were a backup of all the videos that were updated and sent to YouTube. Up to what point I thought, I can't do that. I can't have terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of drives to keep all the videos. Unfortunately, the only thing I can do is rely on YouTube to keep them. And I know YouTube has redundancy, meaning if something would happen to one part, the videos are not just in one place, they're spread. YouTube works in a kind of in a fashion like torrents. It's kind of spread everywhere. And viewing a video means you're also sharing a video. It's very, very weird the way that YouTube works. But it's part of how all of it works and how everything is there. But man, that is amazing. 4 years ago, April 12th, 4 years and a half. I was 45 years old. 45. I just turned 45 a few weeks before. Man. Certainly very unique and makes you really, really think about, David says, honestly, I love that Radio Shack. It was certainly unique. I don't think a lot of people had the primary listening position in the kitchen. it was the place. It was the place because it's where the noise was the lowest. And you know, my antennas are still in the same position. It's not the same antenna. When I was doing that in 2014, I had a 100 feet wire crossing the neighbor's yard. Now I got a sloper and it's within my yard. But still, it's still in the backyard. It's still where it was the best position for listening. My coax was short from the antenna to the radio. And there was a nice window there. It was like a nice view of, the neighbors' backyards. And you guys, for some of those that have seen some of my videos where I show a little bit of how it looks around me, it looks like I live in the suburbs here. It doesn't look like I live smack in the middle of a big city. And I mean, wow, it's amazing. Gary Golin, nice to have you here. Lightning storm going through. Can't listen to nothing. Oh, so sad. Vianney says 11700. Good signal. 11700. Let's check it out. I've got a buzzing sound here that's so weird. I don't know what that is. 7. Radio Nacional Amazonas 11780 from Brazil.
A cúpula do Senado estará iluminada de amarelo desde sábado, dia 9 de setembro. A iniciativa faz parte da campanha Setembro Amarelo, de prevenção ao suicídio e de conscientização e valorização da vida. Reportagem de George Capi. No Brasil, uma pessoa se mata a cada 45 minutos para dar visibilidade ao problema.
So Radio Nacional Amazonas, Portuguese, from Brazil, and 11780. Oh, it's interesting. What I like to do, MDK2, about that WWV and WWVH being together, was to listen at the 45 minutes and up when they have the weather reports. So I would hear the weather reports from the Pacific, which was kind of cool. And I particularly loved listening in on the top of the hour. The 59th minute was WWVH saying, hey, this is WWVH, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, and she would always end with aloha. Then you'd have the hour where you would have WWV identifying. I always got a kick. I always got a kick out of that, honestly. Pretty amazing. Yes, David, EA3JE. He's there like all the time. And he's super strong here. No problem, Text23. It was nice to have you here. Lou in Barcelona, Spain. Yeah. Vancouver Island DXer says, I once had a friend who measured the speed of light by timing the difference in arrival time of signals from WWV and WWVH. Wow. There's like a little something, Mick says, what's the crystal ball behind your left shoulder next to the icon? Is that for when nothing else comes through and you move on to the spirit world? It's a little kind of light up thing. So you guys can't see it really much, but it has different types of lightning through the ball. And when it's darker, it's actually kind of beautiful. It's a Radio Shack thing, a Nextech thing. It also has even the sounds, like, I could have like the birds and stuff. Now the batteries are like dead, so it's like it doesn't work well, but it's actually very beautiful to look at. And you can have the sound of the falling rain and all sorts of lighting effects through the ball. It's kind of cool. I need to change the batteries now, but it's kind of nice. Bill Ross says, I had heard that it was the FM band that was dying. I think Norway has always done away with commercial FM broadcasting. There's so many things happening, and Richard Cook's receiving Romania on 153 kilohertz. Wow. You know, I don't think AM radio, actually, I'll give my opinion, okay, because everybody right now has an opinion of AM radio. So, one of the first things I want to say about AM radio is that we've never had, and you guys won't believe this, but we've never had so many AM radio stations in Montreal ever. I mean, there were the big powerhouse signals and stations from the 70s, the 60s, you know. My mom listening to CKVL 850 or CJMS 1280, and these were the stations at the times. These were the things that people were listening to. And of course, there were the CBC, because there was the CBC that was there. So 690 and 940 was CBC territory. And then stations started disappearing. The CBC went to the FM band, and we had less and less stations until a certain point about 15 years ago, when we started having AM stations come back. And there were never in Montreal area so many stations as there are now. My personal take on the AM band is that in 50 years from now it's still going to be there. There's still going to be AM stations. But the problem with the AM band is that it was not branded well, honestly. I always thought FM should stay for music and AM should always be for the talk stuff. Unfortunately, it became a no, FM is also for talk. And there was like, okay, everybody's on FM. It killed a little bit of what AM is, but I don't think AM is dead or dying, honestly. I think there's still stuff there, and there's still listeners. Yes, there are radios that come out now with just the FM band, but there's still pretty much a lot of radios with AM and FM. And I don't think AM or medium wave is dying. It's in a state of change. And, you know, you gotta just kind of, you know, see what's out there. I don't know, but I don't think it's dying, honestly. I think it's different. It's like shortwave. It ain't dying, it's very different. So, you know. Yeah, I remember David, I remember doing the one with the webcam and the laptop, which was not very good. Oh, God. Oh, God. And the K2 says, I got a cool Spanish station last night on 7:30 a.m., but couldn't figure out which one it was. I listen to medium wave regularly. I like in the evening, I like the fact that you hear all the, you know, stations from far away. Richard Cooks says, can get Italy on 900 kilohertz as the Italy cable time pips every hour. Ah, cool. For sure, solar minimum in wintertime equals great medium wave DXing, and long wave for those that can do long wave DXing, for sure. You know, from Louisiana, Bobby, you should be able to get Cuba on medium wave quite. It shouldn't be that difficult, actually, to get medium wave, Cuba on medium wave, honestly, Bobby. I'm pretty sure from Louisiana isn't that bad of a DX target. I can tell you that. Puerto Rico, yeah. Cuba is closer, but yeah. And the K2 says, I've gotten Radio Rebelde on medium wave in Denver. Was able to confirm tuning over the shortwave frequency of 5025. Wow, that's cool. 530 kilohertz AM, but I can't swear. Dr. Sisov picked up AM station out of Puerto Rico before Maria and one in St. Croix. Wow. Dave Shaw says Toronto is soaking in the commercial AM stations. Max S. Strong. I think that radio technology is unique. As such, it will always have a niche. The size of the niche is questionable, but it will always exist. And don't forget, guys, what do you do in your car? You know, I think the place for radio, and still has a big place, is the car. Cars that all have pretty much. Yeah, it's exactly that, but it was in black. Mine was in black, by the way. Just interrupting here because William Helms just sent me the picture. But yes, this is the crappy radio, and mine was in black. So mine had a black colored, but this was the crappiest radio, the next tech piece of shit that was sold by Radio Shack. So thanks for the picture, William. It's really that radio, but mine was black. Hi, God. So, you know, it's kind of interesting when you look at, you know, what's happening. Yeah, Bill Ross, I do remember the Royal Canadian Air Force. We had it on, yeah, I listened to that a lot. There was a lot of fun stuff in there, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of FM pirates that get caught, though, Dr. Sisop, in the U.S. A lot of FM pirates. Take care, Michael Place. Always nice to have you on board. And have fun. Have a good sleep. Have a good night's sleep. Richard Cook's got a pirate on 1645 kilohertz. And the K2 says, since getting into shortwave listening and learning about variable bandwidth settings, I found that most consumer receivers have AM reception set very narrow. That messes up the fidelity. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When the K2 says, I used to think that AM just sounded bad just because, but now know that narrow bandwidth is part of the big problem. Yep, and you gotta remember the natural bandwidth of AM versus the bandwidth that an FM station has makes it sound crappier automatically. And that's why I always thought AM was for talk radio, honestly. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. Richard's got French on 95.4 FM again. So that probably is France, I guess. Dave Shaw says, feel bad for the younger generation who think that radio stations are just an app on their phone now. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be curious if you would survey a younger generation. Survey 20-year-olds. And ask them, do you listen to the radio and not to your smartphone? I don't know. I don't know how we'd be surprised or not of what would be the response to that, honestly. You know? So it's kind of interesting, you know? I don't know. I don't know where we are at with that type of listening. And it's just, I don't know. But, you know, and I still think there's more people than we think that listen to the radio. I think it is something that is, honestly, Andy K2 says it's hard to find a radio station's frequency. If you go to their website, they have links for streaming audio, but seldom do they have broadcast frequencies. You know, and one of the most annoying things about radio, and here we see it. For example, we'll have a station. Here we have a station on 107.3, and they call themselves Rouge FM, which is Red FM. Okay, what's the frequency? I mean, I see that it's 107.3, but honestly, you're far away and you try to find what station you're listening to. You know, with punching 107.3, you're not going to find what that is. It's like, yeah, but you're identifying all the time without giving any frequency details, where you're at. It's like, okay. Plus the fact that there's tons of relays of the same station all over the place. It's like, well, okay, oh, I saw that one. Oh, now that's 94.5, or, you know. And you're like, come on, there's a frequency to your station. It's as if today's radio broadcasters on FM or AM, they don't want you to listen on radio anymore. They want you to just tune us on the app or on, you know, on your smartphone or tablet or whatever. And it is annoying at some point. It's difficult. It makes it very, very difficult to actually get an identification of any stations you're listening to. You know, honestly. Bobby Ugar says to get the Gulf of Mexico, just go southbound. Yeah. Brett Lammers, nice to have you here. Just got a shortwave radio a couple of months ago. It is a lot of fun to use. It is a lot of fun. Shortwave radio is super cool. When you don't have too much noise, it's really, really a lot of fun. Richard, you might pick up 207 as it's pretty close to you when I'm further away. Well, I get on the lower bands, I got on 207, I don't get nothing. I get, no. That's long wave. I get buzzing. The first signal I got here is 248, which is a non-directional beacon from the airport, not far from here. Dr. Sisop, beware of traveling to Mexico now and not safe and Americans getting killed. You know, Mexico has always been a place where you got to be careful, and especially when you're out of the regular, you know, areas. That's why Canadians like to go to Cuba, because Cuba is kind of a safe place. Cuba has always been a very safe place, so Canadians like to go to Cuba. I know you guys in the U.S. can't really go there because of all the restrictions, but here in Canada we've been going there for a long time, and that's why Canadians like to look, and of course the cheap price. It's so cheap to go to Cuba compared to Mexico. It's like going to Cuba is half time. Doesn't matter, Richard. I will never. I with the high noise level I get now, I don't hear anything except non-directional beacons on. Yeah, you guys can go. Even for Americans? I'm curious of that. Because here's how it's been okay for such a long time. You know, Dave Shaw, the problem is that it's that and it's not just a Canadian problem. Too many stations are now like just gobbled up by big companies. And what happens is that the AM stations now are all part of a huge network of stations. There's no more stations that have their own soul, their own feel of what radio was. You know, when I was young, listening to radio was having the local DJ with his style of music that you were hooked on. That guy was the style of music I listened to, and it was cool. Today it's like, you know, there's just the mainstream stuff everywhere. It's very annoying. It's sad because a lot of these, and you know, if radio dies, actually, if AM or FM radio dies, they have killed it with that. With, oh, let's play mainstream stuff all the time. Nope. You have no idea what radio is all about and what people want to listen in if you think that's the thing. I don't want to listen to Lady Gaga 40 times a day. Okay? One Lady Gaga song here and there, it's okay. Not 40 times a day. Please. Can you just stop doing that? And they don't understand that. I think there's a loss of what the heart and soul of radio is when you think about that. So, you know. Zachary Antle, what do you call cybering over radio? Radio transmitted disease. Hey, Drifter UK, nice to have you here. Hope you are well, Steve. M3CSB, nice to have you here. Hey, Alexander Herrick, nice to have you here. Been a while. Pretty cool to see you. Dave Shaw grew up on local radio stations in Toronto, Chum, CFTR, etc. Was such a different period of time. Voice of Greece strong, 9420. Let's check it out. Yep. Voice of Greece with some music. Pretty good signal. Pretty good signal. Absolutely. Vancouver Island The Extra says, from here on the West Coast, the only long-wave broadcaster I've ever heard was Radio Rossi, but I have never given up on Mongolia and Iceland before they are gone. Well, if you have low noise and a very, very long antenna, who knows? You know, on the long-wave band, I've actually DX'd non-directional beacons on the long-wave band, and when I was in the 90s, I would pick up non-directional beacons on a McKenna 5000 from United States, from Canada, all sorts. I had a weekly list, like on Friday evenings. The thing I would do is like try non-directional beacons, and I had a list of like 1,000 of these that I had logged over time. And I'm not kidding, 1,000. From as far away as almost 1,000 miles. Which is impossible today for me because there's too much noise. But I've never heard any broadcasts. Never heard any broadcasters. The lowest frequency I've heard a broadcaster from overseas was on medium wave. And I remember I think it was 1341. Which was, or 1314 maybe. And it was Norway. And I remember I could hear that. And I heard it in Norwegian. But that's pretty much the lowest frequency I've ever heard a transatlantic station. Dave Freeman, CFCF 600 is Canada's first station. Yeah, pretty much. Well, you know, it's interesting when you look at the history of stations. Because there's this thing that says CFCF 600 was the first station ever in Canada. There's even some articles that will say it's the first ever in North America. The problem is when you listen in on different, or you look at different articles and different sources, it's something that's very controversial. When a station says, hey, first station in America, yeah, okay, well, anyways, well, okay, you're one of the first. And of course, there was a first. I mean, there was a first medium wave station ever in the world. I mean, come on, it has to. One had to start it all. But it's super controversial of what is the first of what and when. And so every time you talk about it, I think everybody will have its own opinion of, no, the first station was that first station was that, oh, that first FM station was that first shortwave broadcaster was that. I think we just put it in the bag of, okay, these are the first and the pioneers of radio, and they're in there. And nobody, I don't think in 2018, unless you got hard copy paper of something written from the time, it's very difficult to really know which was the first of what. You know, of course, as a Montrealer, I would take pride in knowing that CFCX 600 is the first Canadian and maybe the first North American. That's kind of cool. If the first AM medium wave station was in Montreal, yeah, why not? That's cool. But I'm not so fast to jump on that because it's something we hear all the time. It's kind of difficult to really pinpoint that, yeah, well, that's the case or that's what happened. You know. Just telling, hey there, nice to have you here. On the subject of talk, I'd say that heedless of frequency response or interference speech, in particular, sounds more immediate or natural on AM than FM or DAB. And so, on a good day, shortwave is great. You know, talk is what demands the least amount of, whatever, I guess. Whoa, I just did something that I didn't want to do. Okay, here we go. What else do we have? Rob Webster, nice to have you here. Here in England, we have Heart FM repeating the same mainstream songs over and over all the time. You know, that's what radio stations have become today. Boring repeat of everything all the time. You know? It's crazy. Richard Cook's got BPM China coming in better on 10,000. Dr. Sisop has 530 kilohertz from Cuba coming in strong. You know, there's MDK2 is listening to a college rock station out of Boulder, and there's still these stations. I need to check out on my internet radio. I have one that is out of, the state of Washington, I think, and it's a FM station out of, I think it was the state of Washington. It has the same frequency of CKUT, 90.3 FM, and they're still old, style programming with DJs playing the unusual songs of an album, and that's great. That's what we want to hear, but unfortunately, crazy. David says, I always felt curious about Sequan AM stereo. Never received a Sequan signal myself, only in videos, but I can say that medium wave music stations with huge mode in the US really sounded great. I know that there was a station in Montreal here that prided itself. I'm trying to remember which one. It prided itself in using AM stereo. I've never heard an AM stereo signal, honestly. I never had an equipment to do so. Honestly. Vancouver Island DXer, Dave Freeman says Montreal is an English oldie station. Vancouver Island DXer, on long wave, non-directional beacons are much easier than broadcast stations, especially if you have an SDR, so that, oh yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they're tones and Morse code IDs, it's easier to copy in the noise, absolutely. Absolutely. Max S. Strong says, 3 hours in Jill is still going on strong. Dr. Sisop says, StereoX XM subscription radio also repeats tunes in iHeartRadio. Yeah, you know what? That's why I am subscribed to Google Play Music. And that's why I enjoy that, because I can listen to an album or my songs. And with Google Play Music, I don't have, when I say the way radio is being treated today by these big gun companies, they don't understand that they're destroying radio, not making it better. There's some guy somewhere that thinks that playing, Lady Gaga 40 times a day is the thing to do, which is not. You're annoying everybody. And you're even having less listeners because you're annoying everybody. And you know what? I've personally, except for the DXing aspect of just checking out what's on, I don't listen to FM or AM radio. at all. I want to listen to music. I got a Google Play subscription, and I can play the hell what I want to hear anywhere, and I love it. And if I don't want to stream it, I make playlists that download all the songs that I want, and I don't have to use my streaming or my data. And when I think about that, it's like, yeah, because I don't think I can listen to an FM station playing music more than 20 minutes without getting annoyed at how bad it is. I don't know. I think the stations are, and the big gun companies are totally breaking what FM and AM radio is all about. Oh, that's nice. Charles Williams says there's an FM jazz station with actual DJs where he is, with a massive collection of records. That's cool. Oh yeah, it is. Exactly, MDK2. MDK2. KEXP in Seattle, Washington. Yes. They are very, very cool. I got it programmed in my Sangean Wi-Fi radio. 90.3 KEXP. They talked about it on the CKUT International Radio Report once. It is very cool, and you hear things there that are like, wow. You hear things you never heard on that station. It's kind of, whoa, what's that? Radio Havana Cube on 12,000 kilohertz, says Richard Cook. Cosmic Lettuce says independent or public radio stations are usually pretty nice when it comes to a nice variety of music. WWOZ in New Orleans and KXCI in Tucson come to mind. You know, it reminds me of Sham FM, when I was young, in the 80s, early 80s. That was the station. It had so much amazing stuff. It made me discover a world of music. It made me discover Led Zeppelin. It made me discover Pink Floyd, not just with 3 songs or 2 songs. It had, I remember one of the amazing things they would do when I was young. They would actually have, like on Labor Day weekend or something, they would do the top 500 albums of all time. And they would play each album, all of the album. It was amazing. It was like they would do things like you never see nowhere. It's just amazing. Yeah, XFM, absolutely. Broadcasting in Sequam stereo. Yeah, I don't think there's anything about AM stereo anymore and available, I can tell you that. Crazy Screaming Preacher on Preacher, not Peacher, on 7780. But you know, today it's like, wow. Bob Webster says, in the car I listen to DAB, digital audio broadcasting, and I don't see the hype of DAB. Yeah. Bullfrog 89 says, that gets back to what I was saying last week, Joe. A station back home fired a bunch of DJs. They said they had just had someone in the office in another state read the weather for our area. Yeah, it's sad. Hey, Southern Illinois, Sam. Problem is censorship. FM stations just cannot play their best rap. It has to be censored. And this is why the internet is cool, not censored. You know, it has one thing also. One of the things you're mentioning here is Southern Illinois, Sam. We are living in an era where it's, you know, I always thought that as I would get older and we'll get in the 2000s and whatever, that we'd open up our minds in a way that we wouldn't censor certain things that we censored before. But no, it's getting worse. We can't say certain words anymore. We can't say, even here on YouTube, I have to be careful what I talk about, what I say. It's okay. So I now am in this little bubble of I just can't talk of anything that's outside this bubble, or else monetization will be gone, or somebody will just flag my channel as being anti-whatever. And it's not what I thought this era would be. I thought this era would be more open, without being a hater or saying things that are frankly really bad. I thought it'd be easier to talk about stuff. And yet, I have the impression we're going back to, no, you can't talk about sex anymore. Go to the disco era of the 70s where sex was like, you talk about sex like you talk about the weather. And now we're in 2018. Hey, just mentioning sex can actually shut down whatever. It's like, whoa, what the hell is happening? It's just nuts. Dave Todd says, I use Shotcast online stations through Winamp. That's good. Good choice. That's good. Hey, take care, Gary. It's nice to have you here, Gary. Dr. Sisop, WNBC in New York back in 1998 when AM stereo sound quality won great, though didn't last. Yeah. Every period has this technology. And, let's go back to 1988, for example. WNBC New York decides to go AM stereo. And why they did? Already in the 80s, they saw that the audience for radio listening was dwindling. So they thought, oh, we've got this really, really cool thing. AM stereo. It's going to bring back everybody. People are going to go from the FM band and come back to AM because it sounds so great. No, it's because AM stereo still sounds crappier than FM. It's the same thing we hear with DRM, Digital Radio Mondiale. There's tons of, stations all over the world spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade shortwave transmitters for DRM. That's the future of shortwave. No, it's crappy. It's the crappiest thing that ever existed in the broadcasting. DAB is better than DRM, honestly. DRM is the crappiest thing. It shouldn't even exist, honestly. Not in this form. It should exist, yes, if it works well, and that there were a possibility that it might do things, but go back. Somebody sold to one of these big broadcasters, oh, DRM saving shortwave. No, it's not. Okay, shortwave needs to be saved in other ways. You don't understand what's saving shortwave. And probably somebody behind the DRM stuff is making tons of money of just yapping. DRM is amazing. Do that. Spend your money. I'm making big cash out of it. You're going to see it's great. Yeah, no, it's not. I don't think there's a lot of DRM listeners out there, honestly. Okay? And one of the reasons, 95% of people that try DRM can't even decode one signal. I'm one of them. And I can tell you, noise is preventing it. DRM is a piece of crap. And any shortwave stations that think DRM is the future, I'm sorry, but you don't understand what shortwave is. And you don't understand that shortwave appeals to an audience that will not buy a $300, $400 radio to listen to Radio Romania. Okay? Hear me well. Whatever station you are, if anybody from a station watches this, you are thinking that somebody on the other side of the Atlantic will spend $400 to listen to Radio Romania. No. You have no idea what that is, and you don't understand what Radio Romania and what shortwave media is all about. It's not that. Actually, DRM should die tomorrow morning, and stations should just stop using it. It's useless. It will never be good. It will never be something to use. It's not what shortwave is all about. And that's the problem. In '88, AM stereo oh, it's going to save medium wave. It's going to save AM. No, it's not. It's not. What's going to save the medium is what you do with it. AM went down the hill because it was just boring. If you had good stuff, we'd still be listening. Plus, there's a lot of other factors. You know, medium wave has a lot more noise than FM. FM sounded better. There's all sorts of these things. Yeah, absolutely. You know, Mikadal Match says they really let the DJs play all sorts of tunes. Today they played Partridge Family, Johnny Cash, Glass Tiger, Stevie Wonder, April Wine, and on and on. Wow, that's cool. All from vinyl. This is cool. This is cool. You know. It is interesting, you know. 7780. Not bad. I'm not hearing it really well. And maybe it's okay like that. Max has Trunk says, you know, Google, Facebook, Twitter, all becoming censored. Yeah. Dave Freeman, does Montreal use translator stations these days? Not from what I know of. You know. Yeah, well, you know, Dr. Sisop is like the reverse. I hear 107.9 out of Burlington. I hear, what do I hear? I hear that station, The Buzz on 99.9. It's sad that we, you know, I don't know. Oh, absolutely. Decency does vary country to country. That's for sure. That's for sure. But even here, you know what? If I look at the global market here, I can tell you one thing. It's getting difficult to even make a joke on something that's a little sensitive, because you're just going to be blasted. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't do that. It's down to where even politics, you know, we're having elections here in Quebec. It's the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. On October 1st, we're going to elect a loser at the head of Quebec. And I'm sorry, whatever you want to choose, they're all effing losers, okay? And if one dares to talk about a real issue, about, you know, immigration or stuff like that, well, it gets really complicated suddenly. We just got to shut up and say, oh, you're welcome, that's it, that's okay. And that's where we are. And I find that really sad. I would like to have a party show up and say, okay, can we just say the real things like we understand it and how it is, and stop saying we can't use this word or talk about that community or do, okay, there's nothing perfect, and there are annoying communities. We can't say there's no annoying communities. There are. And I think without pointing one, everybody here in the chat room can agree that, yeah, there's a annoying community in your area. But if you dare talk about it, oh man, you're going to get blasted. And that's where we are now, and that is really annoying. And it's not because they're good, bad, just bad people. That community, I'm sure the majority are good people. But can we just talk about the real things? Instead of just pretending that everything's perfect and everything's beautiful, we just got to shut up and accept. That's where we are now, and that I personally have a lot of problems with that. Southern Illinois Stand. In my opinion, I really like true mono oldies on the AM. AM is great for mono masters of the 60s. You know, that reminds me of when I, in the 80s, early 80s, my mom would love big band music because she was born in 1930. Sorry. So she would listen into, you know, big band music from the times. And I remember there was that station from New York on 1130, 1130 kilohertz. It would play big band music all evening. And I would just tune it on the balcony with a little portable radio. And she'd just be happy. And, you know, I was happy because, you know, my mom was happy. And I was kind of listening to big band music from the era. And I'll be fair, I was listening to New York. It was just like amazing. It was just cool, you know. So you're kind of right in there. I kind of agree with what you say, honestly. Yep, absolutely. David. Then there is oh man. Yeah, WI and B got DRM. Come on. Matambali says it took some work to get DRM here. More effort than it was worth. Great when it worked, but exactly. You know? Yeah, we're hearing the screaming preacher here. That always puts a smile on your face. Southern Illinois San says 1120 KMOX from St. Louis. Broadcast AM HD. Music sounds so bad, but baseball and news sounds better. AM is good for baseball. I remember listening to baseball games from the Expos back in the days. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, HD radio on the medium wave band just causes this hiss that just makes interference to all the other stations around it. It's a bad decision. And the K2 says, I heard our Radio New Zealand on DRM once when they clearly made a transmitter mistake. It was also the best sounding DRM I've ever heard, but they fixed the problem and after a few minutes went back to AM. I'm not going to talk much about it, but I will tell you one thing, Max S. Strong, okay? And I'll give you my opinion. It's my opinion, and it's just my personal opinion. We all are entitled to what we believe and what is right and wrong. And I mean, that's what making our world interesting, you know? Honestly, I will tell you, I've done YouTube stuff. I do tech shows. I do a tech news bulletin. I read a lot of tech stuff. And I'll tell you one thing. I don't think, and that's my opinion, okay? And if you don't share, it's okay. I don't want to have a rant of you idiot or whatever. I don't want that type of discussion. I want to have a discussion with, you know, intelligent people that talk about intelligent topics, depending on their own opinion, okay? I try to be careful not to emit opinions that are personal over something, because I did one over that guy. And anyways, you know what? I honestly think that Google is not necessarily censoring anything. I'm pretty sure they let go. But unfortunately, there's a limit to where you can't go further than a specific place. I don't think Google, you know, let's face it, right now, Google and the US government, they're like at odds, really far away from each other. I think they let go, and I don't think they really censor that much. It doesn't mean they don't censor at all, But I think part of the censorship is done because governments are asking them to censor stuff much more than Google or Facebook itself will censor something. It's a very delicate issue, and I don't like talking too much about it because, you know, we all have our opinion of, you know, what's censored and what's not. Google is a tech company, a giant tech company. And let's face it, for those that still don't know, Google is not a search engine. It's the biggest ad company in the world. It's the reason why I'm making money off of YouTube. Very simple. I don't think they censor that much, honestly. I think they censor because somebody somewhere pressures them into censoring stuff. But a lot of, you know, Alex Jones is an example, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I don't want to talk about Alex Jones much because I talked about him once in my tech bulletin 2 weeks ago, and I got I got tons of rant of like, oh, well, you idiot. All I'm going to say about Alex Jones is that we all believe in something. You know, best example, I don't believe in God. You guys know it, and I have said it so many times. I will not tell you not to believe in God, and I will not rant or say anything because you tell me, hey, I believe in God. We're entitled to our differences. Unfortunately, this is where we're losing everything. The inability to talk rationally and intelligently about why you believe in God and why I don't. My opinion of Alex Jones is he's a nut job. You know, some people watching this tonight are going to say, no, he's not. He's right. Look, I'm not here to judge about that or anything. But that's where it's getting delicate. We don't know where exactly all of what's happening is happening. We are in a moment where we just don't. We're afraid to talk about the real things. We're afraid to talk about whatever because. And I think that's where censorship is. When you are afraid to talk about the real stuff, that's censorship, much more than you talk about God and I will block you, which does happen. I mean, there are things where you can't, you know, do certain things or talk about certain things. There are countries, you know, let's face it, Canada and the US are not the perfect countries in the world for free speech. We try to tend and think that it is, but honestly, it's not that free speech that we think it is. There are limitations of what you will say and what you will do. And I'm faced to that with YouTube. There are things I'll never talk about. And not because I don't want to talk about it. I actually would like to talk about it. But I would have to create my own platform on some place to do it. Because here, I'll be blocked in 24 hours. That's the thing. So anyways, you know, that's where Shortwave's cool. Shortwave is something about learning how everything is, you know. You can Shortwave was cool in the big days of the Cold War. What was censorship? Shortwave had no censorship. The Russians could tell us what they think about the bad Americans or Canadians or the Western allies or whatever. That was free speech. I mean, here we did not agree with that, but that was free speech. Voice of America, Radio Canada International, free speech. hey, you bad Russians. You know, that was free speech. We don't have that anymore. It's like it's been lost for some reason. It's just crazy. You know? It's just lost some reason. Take care, MDK2. It's nice to have you on board. Hey, Blanchard. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. But you know, it's very, very oh yeah, Bob T, thank you. WNEW 1130. You remember that. You listened to that, I'm sure. Thank you, Bob. That exactly was it. WNEW 1130 with the big band music at the time. I did not go to Perry Island. Zero this summer, Jerry. And I really need to. You know what? Next week I should try to find time for that. You know, I miss that moment. And you know, I'm getting older, and at some point you're like, yeah. So next live show is next Friday. You know. You know, we all have our problems with, you know, I think every country and every place around the world, we're all stuck with one thing right now. We're stuck with, most of the time, only two choices and not real choices of anything else. And I think in the US, you know, it's funny because here in Canada, of course, the views on Donald Trump are very, let's say, very complex. We'll say it like that. And when the elections went on, I was listening to a VPR station off of Burlington. They were talking about, you know, why all of that happened and Donald Trump was got elected. And you know, a friend of mine one day said, "Oh man, these guys are idiots." And I said, "You know what? It's not that simple. It's not like that. I mean, here in Quebec, okay, if I would give my opinion, the Liberal Party in power, whoever voted for that were a bunch of idiots. Okay? But maybe there's somebody from the province of Quebec that's watching this and saying, well, yeah, you must be one of those souverainists that wants Quebec out and so on. It's like, no, okay, well, no, let's go simpler than that. When I was listening to reports, I understood one thing. And you know what? And I think this is why everything is happening. People, first of all, lost their... You know, I look at the UK elections. I look at US. I look at different countries. And I understand one thing. We're all in the same fucking boat. Oops, sorry for the word. I'm sorry. I know somebody doesn't want that. We're all in the same boat. We all don't know who and what to vote for. Because we don't have the proper choices anymore. We're stuck with the idiot and the less idiot. And we choose the less idiot than the idiot or whatever. But when you hear people, regular folks, talking about why they voted this or that, yeah, you want your life back and you want to have something, and you want to be like it was 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Something where you meant something. But we all lost that everywhere. US, Canada, UK, and whatever else. I think we all lost the true moments of, you know what, I voted for something that is going to help me and is going to be what we need to go forward. And anyways, you know, it's very, very, very complex thing. I can tell you that. I want to have a baseball team again, absolutely. So Cyberflyer 1, this is HD SDR, and it's the it's running my Fedri AFEDRI software-defined receiver, and it's kind of my favorite SDR receiver. Southern Illinois and this says this is why we call them channels. You didn't call the cable company that you don't like. Yeah, you just press forward on the remote. Absolutely. Everybody's allowed to talk about whatever, you know. That's exactly it. You're not forced to listen to Alex Jones. You can move on to another channel. You know, you guys could be very, very surprised. There, you know what? XNADX, or I think some censorship may or may not have something to do with the conditions for advertiser programming. You know what? I agree. I mean, you can't have everybody saying whatever they want when it's very offensive. There's absolutely a limit. I mean, let's think that in Germany there would suddenly be a guy thinking that, you know, Adolf Hitler is savior of the world and that we need to go back to what that was. There's a limit to where, yeah, we got to make, but that's delicate, because it's, where does free speech end and hate speech start? That's the real question. But I agree, you can't talk about whatever, you know. But you know what, Charles Williams, and that's my opinion, Google does not read the autocomplete. The autocomplete goes to what people are searching. When you start typing, you what you get as the suggestions are just what everybody else is talking about. Google has nothing to do with it. It's their algorithm, and it just is like that. But that's my own opinion, you know. AC Johnson, I say, have you here? No, I haven't heard really any maritime traffic except these maritime, you know, channel markers that have Morse code and stuff like that. C Johnson, honestly, you know. It's very, very complex, Southern Illinois, because I think honestly, it's normal that there's a ban of certain content. Okay, just to give you an idea, there are advertisers in our YouTube content. You know, the other day, I was looking at the list of advertisers on my videos, and for example, there's Coca-Cola. You know, Coca-Cola as a brand is a very neutral brand. And I can understand Coca-Cola not wanting hate speech or controversial stuff on their ads. I totally understand that. So I think it's okay that there's some force, some banning of content, not necessarily removing it. I mean, I think we're going back to what I said a little earlier. We're in a moment where we are too sensitive to accept certain things, whether we like it or not, whether it's true or not. Now, that's also another thing that's very sensitive. Is if what you're saying is not true and it's proven, it shouldn't be there. Then again, there was always going to be, you know, if you ban something because it's not true and you have the proof, there's going to be these groups here. And they're going to say, no, that's true. And there's always going to be the people that don't agree. There is a place where we need to put a line. I mean, If I sell something on YouTube and it's in front of a video of a hate speech something, maybe I don't kind of want to have my ads there, you know? It's a very, very complex issue. I think maybe what could be done is don't ban them, but put them in a category of, you know, when you click on the channel, it's going to pop up okay, this guy has controversial stuff. This guy might say things that are going to hurt you. Do you want to continue or not? Maybe that's how we should react. Instead of just, let's, you know. 6,000 kilohertz, which is Cuba. Yeah, in Spanish. It's a little distorted, though. Take care, mi kid homage. Nice to have you. Yeah, it's Radio Havana, Cuba, in Spanish. You know, it's very, very complex issue, Max Estron. It's a very, very complex issue, honestly. And yes, you got to be careful with what you do and what a controversial topic is or not. Honestly, Max, we got to be very careful with all of that. Well, that's pretty much everybody, Southern Illinois sound. We've got 1,000 channels and nothing's good. It's like that Bruce Springsteen song, 57 channels and nothing's on. But there's got to be a line at some point. You can't just have everything. You know, you can't at the same time have everything that you want available. You know? So that's Radio Havana, Cuba, 6,000. So, you know, look, just talking about it, I see how sensitive it is. It's a sensitive issue. We are in a thing that's complicated. You know, I live in that. Don't forget, guys, I live in the controversial YouTube world where you got to be careful with what you say, what you do, and how you do it if you want to be monetized. And I mean, it's okay at the same time. You know? And whether it's what you want or not, I can tell you, you know, it's something that's very delicate. Your line of what's controversial and my line of what's controversial are not placed at the same place. And, you know, imagine you're a big company like Google. You are in front of billions of users, all with their sensitive area at different levels. Where do you draw the line at what should be there or not? You got to think about that too. It's easy to pinpoint that company is censoring content. What you need to understand is I'm making billions of dollars of what's happening right now. My money will be on a level of where I draw the line. The more controversial I am, the less money I'll make. But at the same time, if I ban too much, it's also less money I make. So, what do? Where do I put the line? And where do I decide what's happening? It's a very, very delicate thing, I can tell you that. I see it here all the time. I always try to just be as neutral as possible. You know, Matambali, Radio Havana, Cuba is always using new frequencies, new times, and new. It's like it's just nuts. Radio Havana, Cuba is never. It's like popping up everywhere. It's always the same thing. They just decide they're there and that's it and that's life. It's just nuts. That's Radio Havana, Cuba for you. So with all these controversial little moments that, by the way, I totally respect everybody's opinion here. As long, and that's important, as you respect mine, because that's the important part. If you want to have free speech, that means what you say, what I say. as equal importance. And that will be free speech. So, honestly, Max Strong, I don't think antitrust laws needs to be there. I think we are at another place with Google and Facebook. Okay? We are in a place where we just need to understand that there's way other problems with these big companies, with the snooping that they do on everything we do. That's way more a problem than anything else. VK2FBAJ from Australia. Hey, as Glenn Hauser says, there's always something wrong with Radio Vancouver. Exactly. I was listening to the radio show today, and it was that. I think that's the phrase that he said. As there's also always something wrong with Radio Vancouver. Absolutely, Google's search engine is really good. It's because it's snooping on us quite a lot that is really good too. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I don't know. And there's always going to be controversy everywhere. Rob Webster, listen and not judge is the way I go. That's pretty much what I do too. I mean, I got nothing to think. Even Tinny said, that's true when you come across a frequency that you don't know. Odds are it's China or Radio Vancouver. Oh, man. So, hey, everybody. We've been on for a last little moment here of, if you want to give a little donation and you enjoy our show. Hey, we've been on for 3 hours and 46 minutes. How about it, guys? Sorry about the little, controversialness at the end, but, X1080X says, when I first heard a signal on 12,000 with Radio Vancouver, it sounded distorted, overmodulated. It often happens. Like the 6,000 kilohertz frequency that I'm listening now in English in the evening is often under-modulated. You barely hear the voice behind the signal. It's just great, it's just crazy. So, hope everybody has enjoyed the show. Always nice to have you on board. Charles Williams says, I'm fine with people I disagree with having a presence on YouTube and Twitter or giving speeches. Others are trying to shut it down, and it worries me considering the dominance of those platforms. Yeah, absolutely. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Oh, really? Let's try 12,000. Whoops. Wrong place. I wrote 12,000 on my... Oops. Let's bring it up. Let's bring it back up. So let's just go here. Okay. So thanks anyway for donations, everybody. 12,000. Oh, God. Look at the signal. Look at that line of like mishmashed over modulation. It's crazy. So thanks everybody. Yes, peace and love. That's much appreciated. And it is something that we need to keep. And I kind of like to talk about a little controversial things from time to time. Just on the edge of it, Just go on the edge of it and see how tense it is. It's easy. And with the chat room, it's easy to see how a subject can be a little tense just by the way that people feedback, Take care, my friends. Love you all. Whatever you like, whatever you love. Hey, Rock the Tech Guy. Take care. It's always fun to be here. Next Friday, September 7th, is the next show. And yep, peace and love is what Shortwave is all about. Peace and love. Take care, my friends. Love you all. Stay safe, please. And always be respectful. That's how we're going to make it. And we're going to do something great with our world. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye. Hey, David in Barcelona, this is for you. This is for you.